them that one time I played Mario Kart World.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Dustin Jackson.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, Dustin!
Woo!
Dustin!
Ew, ew, ew. Yes, Hyle.
What's this episode of the Kongversation goes live? We will be just a week and a half away from Donkey Kong Bananza's release. Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. I cannot believe it. It really crept up on us.
From a certain point of view, it crept up on us, but in the larger context, this is more than 25 years since the last 3D Donkey Kong adventure. It's been over 11 years since the last new standalone Donkey Kong game. And, more than half a decade after we first started discussing the existence of an EPD-developed Donkey Kong game here on the Kongversation. So it seems like it's been a really short window, but in actuality, it's been a long time.
And now it's right around the corner. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. I mean, I guess I can because I have to talk about it every single day. So it has set in, but it is just kind of surreal to be here, especially after going so long without any brand new Donkey Kong game to discuss. And I think we've done a fine job. As I've said, I think we really were admirable in how we kept this stupid podcast and website afloat when the headlining act was nowhere to be seen for such a long time. So kudos to you, Dustin. Thank you.
Hey, kudos to you, Hyle. You're the one keeping this show running. You're the conductor of this train.
No, you can conduct a train to go anywhere, really, so long as you don't care about it going off the tracks.
Don't mind if I do. I'm gonna take that advice and go conduct a train after this.
So this is probably the last episode of the Kongversation we are doing specifically on Donkey Kong Bonanza before Donkey Kong Bonanza's release. And we're going to have so many episodes about Bonanza once it does come out. And I just want to address right now, really quick, how we are going to approach it. We are going to segment it out. So you're not going to get completely spoiled about Donkey Kong Bonanza if you listen to the Kongversation. We are going to have spoilers up to a certain point per episode, and we will let you know before you start the episode what that will be. You won't just listen to it and then have a major bomb dropped on you, and then you're like, oh, well, thanks, DK Vine. I hadn't even bought the game yet. So
thanks for that.
Yeah, we are going to be very, very careful about how we manage spoilers and how we manage discussion of Bonanza for quite a long time. And you can go back to how we handled the Super Mario Brothers movie. We were very careful about that. And I don't think that had nearly the stakes that this does for people as far as spoilers go. But I still, pride myself on not being a little shit and not trying to just be first, and ruin people's experience and how they want to process all of this. And I ask you at home to do the same, likewise to everyone who might pierce your little bubble. So, yeah, we are going to have plenty of episodes about Bonanza. We're also going to sprinkle in episodes that aren't about Bonanza to break it up. So it's going to take a while to get through all of our Bonanza-based episodes. But, yeah, we are going to have quite a lot to talk about in just a week and a half. And I promised before the hype cycle came to a close, we would do one more call sack. And that's exactly what we're doing on this episode. I've taken another 14 calls, ostensibly about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Some of them might have, only brushed up against Bonanza, touched butts, if you will. But
that's still erotic, though.
It's still erotic, and that's important because, as I have learned, our audience loves when we veer into the erotic territory.
Well, this is tasteful, at least.
It's tastefully done. It's high art. It is scintillating in the Victorian sense. So, you might have to get your fainting couch and smelling salts at the ready just in case we push you over the edge. But yeah, we are going to play your calls, little bite-sized nuggets of discussion that is prompted by you, our audience. I'm looking forward to it. Before we get into it, though, guess what? There is another enormous elephant in the room right now that we unfortunately have to address. And those elephants, plural, are the layoffs that happened at Rare this last Wednesday. And I will be doing an entire episode about this before Bananza is released. I'm going to save most of my thoughts for that. But I've got to bring it up before we begin, because for those who don't know, Microsoft cut over 9,000 jobs across the company so they could make number go up, frowny face, on some spreadsheet, to look good for the stockholder. I don't fucking know why they, fuck it. But up until now, Rare has been safe from Microsoft's gross mass layoffs, and in some cases they shutter entire studios. In this case, the studio that was handling the Perfect Dark reboot, The Initiative, got completely shuttered, and the Perfect Dark reboot was canceled. But Rare itself had been spared up until this last Wednesday. The last layoffs that happened there occurred in May 2014. And this time they weren't so lucky. Specifically, the Everwild leadership was affected. Everwild itself has been canceled. Louise O'Connor, artist Will Overton were among those laid off. And,
oh, man.
Yeah, I know. And perhaps not diminishing those two and all the other ones that haven't been reported. And for the record, we're not going to get into, who lost their job. If the way I see it, it's none of our business unless they broadcast it. And, that's what I held to when this was all breaking on Wednesday, up until another outlet reported on some of these names. And then I felt like it was safe to go forward with it. But Greg Mayles, who, of course, is no stranger to being spoken of on this podcast, and I think anybody within this fandom knows and reveres the mind of Greg Mayles. Greg Mayles has effectively retired as a result of Everwild's cancellation. He'd been moved back on Everwild. I'll get into it all at a later date, but Greg Mayles has effectively retired as a result, ending his 35-year career at Rare. So, shit sucks.
Yeah, not great.
I mean, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat this and try to be like, buck up, everyone, it's going to be okay.
No, sometimes things just suck.
Sometimes just suck, and the industry as a whole sucks a big fat one right now. And
yeah,
back when I said on our Stinky Ape Summer Kickoff episode that I thought it was beyond time to pull the plug on Everwild, I was like, you know what? If we don't see Everwild at this Xbox showcase in June, I think it's time to just cut their losses. And part of my unsaid thinking when I said that was, I didn't want anyone on that team to be in the crosshairs when the redundancy fairy required some blood. And, I am an outsider. I am just a super fan of Rare. You might consider me a Rare scholar if you want to pretend that's a thing. But I don't know the ins and outs of why this happened, why this transpired the way it did. I don't know if Everwild's existence as this development hell boondoggle for 11 years made these cuts more targeted than they would have been otherwise. and maybe they would have been broader had it not been for Everwild's existence. I don't know. I think it's bullshit to lay people off regardless when your parent company has more money than almost any other entity on Earth. But
yeah, and when they just reported saying oh yeah, we're doing very well, like 26 billion or something.
Yeah.
Maybe don't broadcast that fact if you're laying people off.
Oh, but the investors love it, and
that's true.
The insatiable greed knows no bounds, and unfortunately we have no value for the human element, which is what is supposed to be making our society held together. But I just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone who has been affected by this at Rare, from those of you who have lost your jobs there, to your family members, to your colleagues who are still at Rare, but now without their coworkers and friends. And I see a lot of hot takes right now about Rare. Some old bullshit that's being dredged up that should have been put to bed ages ago. It's easy, low-hanging fruit to get a headline, to get a talking point out there. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to Rare. But the very real aspect of this is that there are a lot of talented people right now out of work. And I hope everyone who was affected by this, I hope you know how much your creative output, how much your work, however long you were there, how much it has impacted people and enriched our lives for the better. Just because you are no longer there doesn't make anything you did there any less true or important or valued. And again, I'm just a fan, but I just wanted to say, we're all collectively thinking of you right now. And I'll have more to say on this when we do our episode about it. Our big, somber, shit sucks episode right before Bonanza comes out.
Awesome.
Yeah, it really is wild. Somebody said this on Blue Sky the other day, and I was like, yeah, it is wild how the pendulum always seems to swing towards good times for the Donkey Kong series equals bad times for Rare and Playtonic, or vice versa. And it just, as a fan of those three entities, we'll say two in this case, Donkey Kong and Rare, it's just wild how that has effectively been the case for over 20 years now. And
yeah, I kind of wish it swung a little less this time. This seems like a very extreme swing of the pendulum.
It really does, yeah. It really is a weird time. I'm feeling a lot of emotions right now. And we're going to focus on the positive on this episode because Donkey Kong Bananza is coming out in a week and a half. And I'm looking forward to it. You're looking forward to it. I would imagine most of our audience is looking forward to it. So
for sure.
It's the only thing keeping me going right now, Dustin. A new Donkey Kong game.
And it's right around the corner. I'm freaking out. I'm losing my mind.
You are. I know. I've been meaning to say something. You gotta keep it in check, Dustin. You gotta keep this under control. You're scaring away the normies.
I'll try. I'll try to contain myself going forward.
All right. Well, if you just can't contain your excitement and you've got to get it out, you've got to go. Sign up for the DK Vine forum because right now it is not only one of the longest standing message board institutions in all video game discussion, but it is a place where you can go with like-minded weirdos, Donkey Kong fanatics who want to talk about it. And here's the best part. It's all in chronological order, right? You make a post, all the replies in chronological order. There's no upvotes, there's no downvotes. There's just a timeline of chat. So I know, right? It's a novel concept, but I
wish I could organize them in alphabetical order.
I'm
just
sorry
to have
about
the
that.
option, you know.
Just to have the option, yeah. But it's pretty good all the same. And
yeah,
a little birdie. I don't know if it's Squawks or Quawks.
or Perry. There's Perry.
Perry. I don't know if Perry can talk. Posh Perry, we'll see. But a little birdie told me that exciting visual upgrades are coming to the forum very, very soon. Maybe some new themes, maybe some old themes, so you can customize the forum. Not alphabetically, but you can customize the forum to the
Hyle,
thematic visual you would like it to be.
Hyle, I am moist with anticipation.
That's great.
Thanks.
So good. That's so good. And I want to thank everyone who has discovered DK Vine within the past couple of months. Everybody who has become a DK Vine patron in the last couple of months, because you keep DK Vine possible. In this age of media consolidation, of only a handful of entities owning all websites that get a lot of traffic, independent websites are more important than ever. And even if they are Donkey Kong universe based, I still think it is important. Support independent Donkey Kong journalism by becoming a patron on dkvine.com/Patreon. And of course, we live stream these episodes for our $5 and up patrons. Hello to Just Andre. Hello to Chocolate Milk Drinker. Hello to Martrose. Cameron's there as well.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Andre says, in regards to the little birdie who told me, it could be Birdie from Off of Conquer. Well, not really little, though, is he?
He's a big birdie.
He's a big birdie with piss on him. Remember that time you pissed on him in Big Reunion?
Yeah, pretty hot.
Yeah. Big Reunion overlooked.
I think so, too. You know what? I don't think I've ever said my opinions on a Big Reunion on this show, but I'll just say it, Hyle, pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. People sleep on it. People like to disregard it. But I think it was a little fun thing. It was a nice little revisiting of Conquer and his corner of the world. And I think they did a good job on it.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice to just jump into this little bite-sized thing and be like, oh yeah, there's Conquer, there's Birdie, there's the Teddies. I remember these guys.
That was well written. We'll do an episode about it eventually. Again. We did episodes about it when it was brand new, but that was a long time ago.
That was ages ago. We have big full beards now.
Well, I don't. I just shaved this morning.
I put on one of those like long Rip Van Winkle beards.
Oh yeah, you just keep a drawer full of novelty beards, do you?
Yeah, so anytime someone wakes up from a nap, I can be like, how long have you been asleep?
You just like to torment your roommates, which is the entire Idaho crew.
They love it.
They always go into a crisis every time they wake up, thinking they missed the release of Donkey Kong Bananza.
Oh, it was great!
And then Nintendo deleted the game in the Great Purge of 2047.
It was just too good.
All right, Dustin. Are you ready for some calls?
Oh, I'm ready for some calls, all right.
All right, so some of these came in after I announced that we had a call sack episode forthcoming. Some of these I've just had bouncing around the call sack for a while now, so just indiscriminately we're going to play them. Who knows? Who knows when they came in? Generally, the context clue is if they address you, Dustin. If they say, hi, Hyle and Dustin, you know that's a fresher call.
That one smells nice and fresh. I can see the juices trickling down.
You're all about the juices today.
It's a juicy episode.
All right, so let's take that first call.
I'm Professor Chops. Would you like to participate in time trials? Or better yet, activate Super Kong? Also, Hyle, I'm just calling in to say thank you for keeping my buddy DK's flame alive all this time. I hope you're looking forward to cool new things in the Switch 2 era. Also, I hope you're looking forward to trying the DK Wild Hot Dog at Super Nintendo World. Just remember, when you take a bite out of it, you're also taking a bite out of me, your friend, Professor Chops. That way, a part of me will always be inside of you. Take care, Hyle.
That was Professor Chops calling into the conversation.
Hyle, I think that was the real Professor Chops.
I mean, there's no way to disprove it wasn't.
I have a good feeling about that.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
So I've had that call, I think since like January. I don't, it's been a while. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. So,
As good a time as any, I guess.
you know, there's, oinks or Professor Chop's fossils in Bonanza. So it fits. It's thematic.
It's a little relevant. Those aren't good to eat, though, I think.
I mean, they might
Those are rocks.
put some fiber in your diet. I don't really know. There's some people who say eating rocks is good for you. I don't really trust those people because of all the evidence that eating rocks is bad for you.
Yeah, I think the people that say that are called bullies.
Right. But, you know, it's exciting times for Professor Chops fans because there is the animatronic at Donkey Kong Country at Super Nintendo World, and there is the fossil in Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I think between those two, 2025 is the year of the glasses wearing, smirking, shitty looking pig.
I'm glad we got there eventually.
Yeah.
That took a little bit, but it was worth the payoff.
It was. Well, thank you for the call, Professor
Thank you.
Chops. I can't wait to see what other fictional characters call in.
Boy, me too.
All right. Let's see which character is going to be our second caller. I'm hoping it is Birdie the Scarecrow, still dripping with piss.
Hello, DK Vine. This is Chocolate Milk Drinker. I guess I don't know what episode I'm calling for since I mean, you guys just got done recording, so I'm sorry this is a bit weird to call, but I just wanted to say some thoughts that I heard there is probably going to be a call sack of some sorts. I guess mention the episode that was just recorded. Since I didn't have any ideas earlier, honestly, I just want to see the DK64 Kongs and like K. Rool, I guess. I guess to us, quote unquote, youngsters, I guess we'd just like to see, I don't know, the DK64 Kongs. I mean, they're cool. I'd love to just see them sometime again. And obviously, I just want to see King K. Rool in some sort. I'd love to see him as a new villain. This is a bit of a reach, but I mean, just while the episodes are being recorded, there was rumors going out of a direct, like, week of or after the Switch 2 launch. I'm just gonna predict right now, here on May 23rd, calling it right now, there's gonna be Donkey Kong DLC announced at that direct. I'm just saying, I really want to see the DK64 Kongs again. Oh, and also, I guess, as one hope, I guess I'd like to see, like, the 100%ing just be more enjoyable, I guess. I recently 100%ed Mario Wonder, and it was really fun. I'd just love to see something like that for Bonanza. But, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Sorry for a bit of an odd call, since this was just after an episode got done recording, but I'd like, hopefully, see this in some future episode. If not, then, hopefully this is listened to. Bye. Have a good night. It's like 10:20 p.m. my time zone right now.
Well, thank you for the call, Chocolate Milk Drinker. Of course, we got that one before the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct was announced. And they were specifically, like, I think that was for our Bonanza Hopes and Fears episode, or it just came in, like, after it was done. But,
Right.
yeah, the Donkey 64 Kongs, I will say that, and this is something that has been brought up again and again on the podcast since we first started learning more about Bonanza. I feel good about really the entire cast, even those who will not show up in Bonanza, because I just think the potential is finally there again to start seeing some characters who haven't been around in a long, long time. It doesn't feel like there is any artificial limitations being put on Donkey Kong anymore. Any either hardline or unspoken rule of, oh, you can't use that character, you can't use that character, you can't use that character. You've got to keep it to just these 5 characters. I think that, of course, Nintendo EPD has more freedom than your retro studios would have, but also
who's going to tell them no?
Who's going to tell them no? Right. There's really no other hierarchy there. But I also think that it's abundantly clear that the people making this game, as we've reported on way back when, are actually comprised of fans of Donkey Kong. And I'm not saying that the people who made like Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze at Retro weren't necessarily fans of Donkey Kong, but I think it is kind of noticeable in some of like the deep cuts they are making that there is a genuine appreciation of what came before rather than an innate desire to reinvent the wheel.
Right. Something I've noticed lately, and like, I don't know how long it's been going, and I've only just noticed, but, DK64, I've been seeing a lot more positive feelings about it in recent times. Like the Kongs, just the game itself. And, you know, on one hand, I'll never like truly love and adore that game. I enjoy it. I like it. But it's nice seeing people like some new, fresh opinions on that game. People who just like it and aren't, you know, bogged down by ideas of like, oh, it's a Banjo game, but it's not as good as the Banjo games or stuff like that. Just people who can come in and enjoy DK64 and want to see these Kongs come back. And to be fair, even though I have my issues with DK64, I would love to see anything from DK64 come back. I'd love to see those Kongs come back. I love that. I think expectations for me have been a little more kept in check, mainly after that Donkey Kong Direct. Seeing like... the shop people that we saw, those are just going to be like these weird rock crystal guys instead of like characters. That put my mind a little more in the camp of, okay, we're probably not going to see like a whole lot of returning characters here. But I love that we're in a spot where like we can not expect to see them come back every time, but it feels like it's on the table every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, and I don't want to keep bringing up the Super Mario Brothers movie and the weird idea that Chunky and Swanky were in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
It's so weird.
The thing is, there was a Super Mario Brothers movie in 2023.
Oh, yeah.
And Chunky and Swanky Kong were in the Super Mario Brothers movie. So... Yeah. It's one of those things like the Northern Hemisphere appearing on the maps in Bonanza where it's like, well, they're not going to reference the Northern Hemisphere. And then you remember, oh, wait, no, they are actually referencing the Northern Hemisphere. This isn't a hypothetical. This is something that is actually in the game. And, you know, we can all debate about what it means and doesn't mean anything. But the fact that they did it, that it's in there, it's indisputable. I think it really hasn't set in for people. And of course, we look at how the movie designs of Diddy and Dixie hew closely to their redesigns for the Bonanza era. And it's not one-to-one. I mean, it's not as extreme as those movie designs, but there are elements like Diddy's DD pin, sorry, Cameron, and the
eyes being separated. The eyes being
visibly separated. And of course, Dixie has her guitar pick pin on her beret, which is like an awesome little nod to the Rare logo, but without being the Rare logo.
So good.
It's so clever. But yeah, I think that like Swanky and Chunky, those designs probably weren't just pulled out of thin air. And I don't know if there's any like internal like design docs of like, oh, this is the way these characters are going to look going forward, or if like that was more Illumination who like said, is this
Like
good?
just a little Easter egg they wanted to slip in for fans.
But Nintendo didn't say no, and I think once upon a
exactly.
time Nintendo would have said no. So
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I like that the possibility of Chunky and Swanky actually being in a game again is out there.
yeah, I think Chocolate Milk Drinker is in our chat right now and says, I'm a Donkey Kong fan. I need my daily dose of Chunky and Lanky Kong. So
I get that.
I mean, I understand that too. I have to look at their pictures at least once a day or else I don't feel right. But I do think what's going to follow Bonanza, and this isn't me, this is, okay, because I have to be careful with what I say, because people tend to, like, sometimes take my just off-the-cuff musings as, oh, Hyle is hinting at this. Sometimes I am hinting at stuff. This time I'm not. I don't know what's next for Donkey Kong after Bonanza.
Right.
That breadcrumb, I followed it as far as I could, and then it was just years of waiting for it to pay off. But
I mean, you could say this whole episode is us hinting at Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out. Unfortunately, everyone already knows.
Everyone already knows, so it's a pretty safe bet at this point. I mean, something could go wrong. You know, they could, like, sit on the game and delete all the files of it. And
a real gorilla comes in and destroys all their computers.
Yeah, the warehouse that has the copies burns down, and, you know, lots of stuff could happen from now till then, so fingers crossed we'll see release. But I think that what's likely to happen is the next Donkey Kong game will probably be a 2D game, whether it's branded Donkey Kong Country or not, I can't say, but I think it's probably just going to alternate from here on, or, you know, we might get a new 3D Donkey Kong game every 10 years, and we get then a 2D Donkey Kong game, and then something else, and then another 2D, I don't know, but I think we're going to get more consistent releases from now on. Now that the brand is reestablished and people are excited again about Donkey Kong. And that will mean characters will be able to show up with a lot more frequency. So the next 2D Donkey Kong game, you could see Chunky or Lanky as playable characters.
That would be great. Yeah. I would love to see Lanky come back, Kyle. I'd be so over the moon.
Right. Usually it's only Donkey and Diddy who go over the moon. This time we could see all of them go over the moon. Imagine how far they could punch it if all the Kongs did it together.
Oh, that moon would not exist anymore. That's an annihilated moon.
Yeah, that it would also be pretty much the end of life on Earth as we know it. So,
but it would be cool though.
I mean, if we have to go, you know, that would be the sweetest way to go out. Death by Kongs.
The Kongs decide it's our time.
Yeah. So, Chocolate Milk Drinker also mentioned DLC. While they did not announce DLC for Bonanza for the Direct, which I think Nintendo...
That seems like the kind of thing they want to have a little distance from before announcing.
Yeah, Nintendo's been very careful about not bringing up DLC because of all the hand-wringing about the prices, and, you know, it's smart not to bring it up right now. But it is worth mentioning... that the ESRB rating says in-game purchases. Yeah,
I was just about to say that too. So that's obviously there for some reason.
Yeah, Chocolate Milk Drinker says they meant to say Mario Kart DLC, but I mean, we still haven't heard about Mario Kart DLC. But
yeah, I feel like we'll definitely get some DLC for it at some point, but again, it feels like it's too soon for. It feels like they want a base game to stand on its own for a little bit before announcing additional content for them.
That's generally the way Nintendo's always operated. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for the call, Chocolate Milk Drinker.
Thank you.
We got it eventually. All right, let's play our third call.
Hey guys, I'm a new listener. I pretty much just got in because I figured out this podcast existed because Bonanza, came out. But I was just calling about the new Nintendo renders of Donkey Kong, and I think I see, and a lot of people have sort of been very negative about it. But I honestly feel like it's just like, I feel like it's kind of lazy on Nintendo's part, in a sense, to sort of just, like, take DK, like new DK, just have him do a newer pose, to do like an older pose of rare DK. Like, I feel like that's sort of why people are clowning it online, in a sense. I don't know. I like the new design overall. You know, I feel that it was just poor execution, you know. Yeah. Also, bleep my name. I don't want my name on this. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you for the call. Did you say your name? I don't know where to bleep because I
didn't hear a name.
Yeah, so I didn't bleep your name. You self-bleeped.
Good job.
Unless your name is new listener, and in which case, wow, your parents were prescient there.
They knew what would be in their future.
Yeah, thank you for the call, though. Yeah, I haven't seen anybody clowning on it, but again, I don't dwell in the cauldrons of negativity.
I try not to venture outside of our DK Vine circles all that much.
Yeah,
other than some like immediate friends outside. Like in general, I try not to engage with like fandoms of things because that's when you get the hardcore people with very strong negative feelings sometimes.
Yeah, the only times I generally ever see negative stuff is when Freezer shares them with us.
Yeah, thanks, Freezer. Freezer's great.
I assume what bleep meant was that Nintendo, they've been rolling out these new renders. It's not just the Donkey Kong cast, like Donkey and Diddy, but they also like have refreshed Mario characters, for example. And just like updated the fabric on their clothing to be a little bit more detailed. But they've taken the new Donkey Kong design and the new Diddy Kong design, and they've been posing them in the poses of old renders. So, for example, the box art pose of Donkey and Diddy from Donkey Kong Country Returns 2010. They've redone that one with their new designs. There has even been a couple Donkey Kongs that seem to be reimaginings of the old Rare like artwork. The one from Donkey Kong Country in 1994 where he's scratching his head in puzzlement. That one has been redone with the new 2025 Donkey Kong. So for me, I think it's weird. Like, you can't just pose them in new poses and we'll just have fresh artwork. Like, why are you just updating these older art assets? I guess it makes sense for Nintendo, though, for what they use them for. I mean, we look at them as just, like, little things to stare at, you know, like, oh, this render is from this era, from this game, but they've been doing this for years now, like updating older renders and then rolling them back out. They've done it for Diddy how many times, where they update his fur, or I mean, Donkey Kong got his updated nose between, you know, like the retro era and the current era. They gave him the nose job before they just completely redid his entire body. But you know, I understand why they do it, even if I would prefer just completely new poses. It's kind of cool, though, to kind of see imagery we are so familiar with as hardcore fans recontextualized for the current era. It just kind of makes it, I don't know, like a little bit more connected by seeing, like, poses that are so ingrained into our brains, but just with the new modern designs.
Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. On one hand, I do think it would be cooler to see like new renders with them, new poses, have them do new things. But on the other hand, it is kind of fun looking back at old renders and comparing them, seeing the changes through the years. I think that's fun too.
We are getting
so classic fence sitter Dustin.
Yeah. I mean, you're very good at sitting on those fences, Dustin, with all the juices.
I love not pissing anyone off.
With all the juices you slather on, you're able to just slide right on.
Years of practice, Hyle.
Yeah. No, we are getting game specific renders for Bonanza that aren't just that aren't just these stock promo images for merchandise and website filler. So
right. Those ones are more for a broad purpose. These ones are for a specific game, and they look wonderful. I love that one of DK and the minecart.
Yeah. So I'm just glad to see. I mean, stuff like seeing that Donkey and Diddy render of them swinging on the vines, and like seeing that even before we knew Diddy was in Bonanza, it was just this reassuring feeling of, okay, well, Donkey and Diddy, they're still a pair. Like, that's also important to remember with Bonanza and the focus being on this iteration of Pauline, whoever she may be, whenever she may be. It is nice to see, like, well, Donkey and Diddy are still the core of the series. This is just for this game, It's not like they're replacing Diddy forever with young Pauline.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Yeah.
Renders in general, just one of my favorite parts of these game release. Just seeing, because the characters are kind of the heart of these games and series. They're at least my favorite part. So it's just nice to see artwork of them, nice renders. They're always a treat to see, even if they are just remakes of old ones.
I mean, back in the day, Dustin, I would cut out the renders they would print in magazines and would pin them up on my wall because, I loved the artwork. I loved the seeing the characters, and for me, like, that has been one of the defining elements of DK Vine is our focus on the characters and their own evolution. And so one other thing.
I totally agree.
One other thing I just realized that we are getting this huge mainline Donkey Kong game done by effectively like the main team or one of the main teams at Nintendo. We might get a Donkey Kong Bonanza art book.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Mario Odyssey got one. The Splatoon games got them.
Yeah.
The Zelda games got them. We could totally get a Donkey Kong one.
We could. It could happen, and I'm really excited about that. I mean, that's the kind of thing we have just gone without. All these modern elements of gaming that we have been without as far as Donkey Kong goes. Like, I know, broadly speaking, like, the DKU has gotten a couple things, mostly via Sea of Thieves, but, like, Donkey Kong himself has not really gotten to partake. Like, basically, it was still player's guides the last time we got a new mainline Donkey Kong game. And, we didn't get the art books. We didn't get all the stuff that comes with it. Amiibo, we're getting a new Amiibo. I mean, God, it's just all the stuff we've gone without during the hiatus. And now we get to experience it.
For sure. And the Mario Odyssey art book, probably one of my top art books I own. I own a whole ass load of art books, Hyle. And
how can you get them in there? Good? How can you get those art books in there when you have the fence already inside of you?
Well, it's worth it, Hyle. Let's just say it's worth it.
Wow, you've got a magic butt, my friend.
Thank you. It's ergonomic.
Thank you for the call. Bleep! All right, let's take our fourth caller.
Hi, Dustin. Hi, Hyle. Bonanza right now, had any, is that kind of bad about not really giving us, how much content is going to be in the game. So my current concern right now is that we're only going to get these two transformations, like the ostrich and the zebra, and the worlds that we've seen so far are going to be the only worlds that are going to be in the game, that they've basically shown off basically everything that there is to see so far. That could obviously be wrong because obviously, they did high a lot for, say, Tears of the Kingdom, but that is my big concern right now, is that there just isn't a lot left to explore or see once we get through all the footage that's been showed off. Hope I'm wrong on that. So yeah, my big concern right now is that we just don't get a lot more than what we've already seen in the game. But that's my only real concern right now. I liked Odyssey, and I'm really hoping that this game, proves me wrong and that it is everything that we could hope it could be. Hope this finds you well. Bye.
Well, thank you for the call. I'm not worried. I don't think we've seen much of anything. I mean, we've gotten a much better idea of what the game entails, but there's still so much that hasn't been shown off and explored, and I think that includes some of the layers. I think that definitely includes some of the transformations. And there are at least 3 transformations. There's the Kong Bonanza, there's the Ostrich Bonanza, there's the Zebra Bonanza, and I'm probably pretty sure that they haven't shown off all the transformations.
Yeah, I am very curious what the scale of this game is. Like, I assume it'll be big, but I really don't know what to expect, because, like, Mario Odyssey is a pretty big game, lots of worlds in that game, but this, even though it's being made by Mario Odyssey people, that doesn't mean it's going to be, like, the exact same game or anything. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, I'm not that worried. I honestly have faith.
Yeah.
I have faith that they're going to do a good job. I also don't know why we're worried that they showed off everything in the Direct. Like, yeah, it was...
We know they didn't show off everything. We've seen some things, we've seen some, like, little bits and pieces of things that they didn't even touch on.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was a lengthy Direct, and as Donkey Kong fans, we are not used to just getting a full 16 to 17 minutes worth of Donkey Kong news. And like that would be the amount of Donkey Kong news we had during the entirety of the 11 years between Tropical Freeze and Bonanza.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I'm not worried at all. And maybe this is like lingering from the Mario Kart World like rollout, where people just felt like the whole game had been shown off before release. But to that, I would say 2 very different things, 2 very different types of games, despite them both having Donkey Kong in it.
Yeah, I guess the thing with Mario Kart is, even though Mario Kart World did bring in a lot of new things, at the end of the day, you kind of know what to expect, what you're getting. This, I really don't know. I have no idea what to expect with Bonanza.
Yeah, I know. It is a really good feeling that I feel relatively unspoiled for Bonanza. Like, I feel like I know everything that I'm supposed to know. And
we know everything that they have gone out of their way to show us.
Yeah. So I am properly hyped for the game. Not that I wouldn't be otherwise, but I think that, like, there's still so much mystery, and there's still so much that they're not showing us. And yeah, I'm kind of like excited how in the dark I am about the later parts of the game, or even like the order in which we experience some things. Yeah. So
I am worried about spoilers, just because they are going to start popping up in places. I
know.
Just gotta duck and weave through them.
And that's why I do implore, if you're listening to this, please be respectful about spoilers. If you see something, if you find out something, don't assume that everyone else has also seen it.
If anyone spoils anything for me, I'm going to go up and punch him in the back of the head.
Wow. Okay, well...
And I hope you think I'm joking.
What you've just done, Dustin, is if anybody out there listening does get punched in the back of the head, you will be suspect number 1.
Good. I want people to know I'm not messing around. I'm bad to the bone, Hyle.
Hibby Sloth has joined us in the live stream. Hello. March Rose asked, do you expect one last trailer to be dropped before the game launches? I don't
know.
I think we're good. I think
they might do like a launch trailer the day it's out.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think we're really going to get anything else as far as like direct from Nintendo hype when it comes to Bonanza. I think that they did release a condensed version of the Direct the other day. We saw the North American television commercial, minute long, which is just very reminiscent of the Bongo era of Donkey Kong.
And I was thinking that too. People all gathering around.
Yeah, people gathering around.
Cheering for DK.
In the street, like in the summer, in the city. basically like all gathering around to play a Donkey Kong game. In this case, it was a lot more diverse of a crowd than it was for Donkey Konga, where they just got in some like early to mid 20-something actors. Like, look, it's hip. It's Donkey Konga. Ooh.
Look how cool it is. Donkey Konga 2? You kidding me?
Where in this one, they even had an old man in there. Even the old men love Donkey Kong.
Even Grandpa's getting in on the action.
Yeah. So...
Hyle, this is going off on a little bit of a tangent, but
sure.
I really missed that era of like GameCube commercials and ads. Like, I think, I'm kind of with some people where the absence of Rare kind of made me a little... I liked the GameCube a lot, but I didn't really consider it like my Nintendo era. But I just love that era of like Nintendo commercials for GameCube, Game Boy Advance. They just did lots of fun stuff with those. I'm very nostalgic for them.
I am nostalgic for the gross out commercials of the 1990s.
Like Yoshi's Island?
Yeah, like Yoshi's Island, which is just basically a riff on Monty Python, but yeah, where the guy ate himself until he exploded and got his guts all over the restaurant.
That sucks.
Yeah.
You know what one I hated? There's a commercial for Earthworm Jim that's just an old lady eating a bunch of worms, and it's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Those are worms. That's not food.
The Donkey Kong Country 3 commercial with the was it the
starring Kitty Kong?
Yeah, it was the orangutan that was like dressed all sexily and doing the little gyrating dance in the diner.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I miss.
Now I really want to play DKC 3.
Yeah, I miss the element in video game advertising where I just got done saying it was cool that they had an old man in Bonanza, but I liked the video game commercials that were like, this is going to gross out your parents. Oh, like down with adults. Like, let's have an underage uprising.
This ain't your daddy's Donkey Kong Country 3.
No, it's not. It's not. Your daddy has never played a Donkey Kong Country 3 like this one.
He won't know what the fuck's going on.
All right, well, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Chocolate Milk Drinker did not want to be reminded of the Yoshi's Island commercial.
I can say, yeah, I get it. That's understandable.
Yeah. Chocolate Milk Drinker says, big fan of the DKC2 commercial, and it's just a gorilla in an enclosure, and he's touching the TV. It's actually a parody of a luggage commercial in the 70s.
That's fun. That is a good one.
Yeah, because they put a piece of luggage in a gorilla enclosure, and basically it was like, this luggage is so tough, so durable, even a gorilla can't destroy it. And the advertising people who were put in charge of the Donkey Kong Country 2 commercial were basically like, what will kids really relate to? Oh, I know, parodies of commercials from the 1970s.
They'll love this. They'll be begging their parents to buy this game.
It's probably one of those commercials that was actually more for the parents, so they could say, oh, that's clever, I gotta buy my little child this game because I remember the gorilla commercial with the luggage.
That is a good reason to buy it, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for the call. Let's take our fifth call, Dustin. Let's do it.
Can you feel it? That shiver up your spine? That primordial tingle at the pit of your belly? That means that Donkey Kong Bananza is less than 2 weeks away. Oh man, what a hype cycle it's been. It's been some of the most fun I've had waiting for a video game in a really long time. It's been so fun. I'm almost a little sad it's coming so quick. I kind of wish it was coming out in like September or something, just so we'd have more time. But you know what? It's fine, because the game's coming out. It's going to be great. Just thinking about the hype cycle we've had for the last 3 months, you know, between like Pauline being leaked 2 days after the game was announced, all the crazy theorizing with like Journey to the West stuff and looking for Kremlings and whatever. It's been so amazing. I kind of love this community. I don't know, you guys. But even if some of the theories don't come out true, Kremlings aren't in the game, I'll be okay. I hope they are, but I'll be okay because the game itself still looks incredible. From the world to like the movement to like the destruction, and most importantly for me, that connection between Donkey Kong and Pauline, it looks magical, quite frankly. I feel like they made a Disney movie out of Donkey Kong, and it's beautiful. Honestly, this might sound sacrilegious, but DK and Pauline, I think they're starting to become my favorite duo in the franchise. Right? Don't get me wrong. Diddy and Dixie, Donkey and Diddy, love them, adore them. But something about just the connection they have in this game. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to ramble too long. There's a million things I could say, but I just want to take this moment to appreciate that we all made it. It was the longest drought in the Donkey Kong franchise, and we all made it, and we're coming out on the other side with an incredible 3D adventure. It's gonna be great. I do need to ask one quick thing. I need you all to pray for me, because in my infinite foresight, I planned a trip that'll fall during the game's release, and I won't get to play it until a few days later. So here's hoping I can dodge spoilers. Thanks, guys. It's gonna be great.
Well, thank you for the call. Stay off YouTube. I would recommend staying off YouTube and stay off social media.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the safe. You just know there's going to be a YouTube video that's like, all Donkey Kong Bonanza bosses.
Yeah, and it's going to have like Whizpig in the middle. Like everybody's thinking K. Rool.
In a big circle.
Yeah. So
that'd be so fucked up. I'd be so pissed off if Whizpig was the final boss and it was spoiled for me.
Right. Because again, like, how did they manage that? Why would they manage that? Like, they don't even own Whizpig.
Yeah, why would they even think to do this? Is actually a bad idea, but I love it.
I mean, Void Kong, his hairstyle does look like whatever Whizpig has going on the top of his head.
That's true. It's obvious. It's pretty much confirmed at this point.
I mean, who would see that coming, especially because the game is about reaching the center of the Earth? What's the exact opposite of the center of the Earth? A wacky space alien. Far above the Earth.
Yeah, I guess I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
It's going to turn out that the final boss is Randorn from the original Dinosaur Planet.
Oh, shit, and he's a bad guy now, too.
I'm so pissed off and evil.
Oh my god, they ruined Randorn, everyone.
Not that beloved character Randorn.
Oh my god. And it turns out, like, the fossils of the dinosaurs you're collecting, they're actually just fresh skeletons of the saurians that Randor's incinerated.
Yeah, this Earthwalker hasn't been dead for 5 minutes.
That would be a shocking thing for like 0.05% of the audience. It would just be like weirdos who have been on DK Vine way too long and like, oh my god, I can't believe they've done that.
It would be very off-putting for the majority of audiences, yes.
So, yeah, to the caller's point, I think it's fair if you really like Donkey and this iteration of Pauline, as I'll call her for now. Like, I know I just got done saying the render of Donkey and Diddy seen at the licensing expo, like, put me at ease as a hardcore Diddy and Dixie fan. But I think the way they are doing this, they're telling the story, they're kicking off this new era of Donkey Kong, but they're doing it in such a deft, smart way compared to past attempts at relaunching the franchise or sending the franchise into a new direction. I look back at Jungle Beat, which just completely like left out anybody who wasn't Donkey Kong and the banana, and it was a real hard sell for the hardcore Donkey Kong fans who were already on the fence, like you, Dustin, about, you know, is this going to be a game for us? What's happening with Donkey Kong now that Rare is no longer partnered with Nintendo? And, you know, there really wasn't anything to glom onto as a fan and say, okay, it's going to be okay. And we know the reasons now, but it was still just bad messaging, bad rollout, and coupled with everything happening with the discourse around Donkey Kong Country, and Rare at the time, it did feel like, oh no, like we are at risk of losing everything we cherish about this series. And then
it's just that fear of the unknown. You don't know if the reason you like this is going to be all taken away, and it wasn't. Now it's a little silly to look back on and think about, but at the time it felt very like, who knew what was going to happen?
We didn't know, and that's the thing. That's the important context to remember, is at the time we didn't know what tomorrow would bring. So then we had Donkey Kong Country Returns in 2010, which was very minimalist with what it brought back. And I love Returns. I loved it from the outset. You know, no issues with Returns as far as how it plays, and even within the game itself. I think it's great and honestly underrated. But again, it was just, okay, they brought back Diddy, which is way more than Jungle Beat. Cranky's there, Ramby's there, Squawks is there, but I don't know, you know, it still feels a little bit like they're afraid of just bringing in everybody. And
right, they were just bringing in the basics, it felt like.
And don't get me wrong, again, I feel like I have to have a lawyer with me at all times when I say stuff now, because people are so quick to take a nuanced opinion and make you some sort of zealot one way or another. I love the retro games. I love Returns.
Same.
I adore Tropical Freeze. And I want the stuff that those games introduced to continue to appear. I would love if they kept using Professor Chops. I would really like to see maybe some of those background animals fleshed out a little bit more. Like, oh, Zygmunt the zebra. Yeah, he's here now as just a regular animal buddy. Great.
Yeah, like, I want to see anything brought into those games come back. Just like I want to see things from Jungle Beat brought back, things from the Rare games brought back. I just want things in the DK series to stick around.
Stick around, a healthy mix of old and new with each iteration. But that's why I really like the way they're doing it with Bananza, because having a game with any version of Pauline in it as Donkey Kong's partner. I mean, I was talking about this when we were talking about Donkey Kong Freedom, the project at Vicarious Visions, that really was the genesis of Bananza in the long, grand scheme of things. But there, you know, that was where the idea of having Pauline as a playable character came from. And I remember saying, well, we might have dodged a bullet there, because a lot of fans wouldn't have liked that, even though, you know, the loose plans were for Diddy to be in it as well. But it was like, are you trying to like nudge out Diddy? What's happening here? And in Bananza, we have Diddy and Dixie there together playing a role. They're not being forgotten. And it makes this pairing of Donkey Kong and Pauline, however tertiary it might be, however like long it might last, however long this iteration of Pauline is going to stick around, it still makes it feel non-threatening and just intriguing, and you're able to enjoy it on its merits without worrying about what it's replacing or what it's trying to do. What's the hidden agenda here? Well, they're telling a story. So that's it.
For sure. One thing I like about DK and Pauline together, which I think is a big reason for the appeal, is it's a different dynamic than DK and Diddy too.
Yeah.
DK and Diddy together, that's like a buddy combo. Those are two buddies going on an adventure together. This feels like I don't know if I want to say adoptive father and daughter, but kinda. It's big adult caretaker taking care of a small child.
Yeah. And it's a dynamic we really haven't seen this version of Donkey Kong ever do. I mean,
yeah, he's never been responsible for a child's well-being.
Well, besides Diddy, but I think that like that element was really only in play in the first Donkey Kong Country, and even then it wasn't a father-son dynamic.
Yeah, even then it was still more like two friends hanging out. This feels like, I am like babysitting this child in a way.
Yeah, that one was more Indiana Jones recklessly endangering a young street orphan. Yeah. And, like it's awesome. That's the exact kind of attitude that that's
it's
the
great
kind
that
of
he did that.
that's the kind of spirit that Donkey Kong Country embodies. Is
Right.
Yeah, we're just gonna have this like big, like reckless, wild adventure with this like cool adult figure. That the child sidekick is emulating. He shouldn't be there. It's dumb, but who cares? Because Donkey Kong has no responsibility. And in this case, it is a different dynamic, and it's interesting, and we're seeing shades of Donkey Kong we haven't seen, which is exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited for it, and that's another reason why it kind of helps the different roles in this game go down a little easier. Like you said, Diddy's still there. I really like that for once in a long, long time, we get to see Diddy and Dixie do things together.
Yeah. Yeah, even if Diddy's not playable, it's still really validating to see those two characters paired together as equals. And
they rarely ever get to.
Obviously, they're my two favorite characters. Donkey Kong Country 2 is my favorite game. But even having them both in Tropical Freeze, we didn't get to see them together outside of two cutscenes. Yeah,
you only have one or the other most of the time.
Right, so to have them as a pair, have them as a duo, just great to see. And it's great that Dixie, because usually Dixie is left out. Usually it's Diddy, and then if we're lucky, Dixie. But in this case, it's the first game of a new era. They're both there. It's very reassuring. There's so much old that's returning that it's making the new just feel like an extension of the old, which is how you are supposed to do this, which is how you're supposed to roll out stuff. You're not supposed to just alienate people who are fans of everything that came before. It's a slow walk towards accepting the new stuff as well and making it feel just as much a part of the series. And I mean, that's the stuff that I think Payon did really well in their games. And that's why characters like Xananab are still revered by the fans, because they were just part of it.
Yeah, it was, those Payon games are a great example of embracing the old and the new. Getting that balance where, like you said, you're not alienating anyone. You can be like, okay, my good pals, Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong are here. That means I am more than happy to welcome characters like Xananab with open arms.
Exactly. And I really hope Xananab's in there, or else I'm going to boycott the game. We'll see. I'm going to be refreshing YouTube looking for that thumbnail of Xananab in the middle with a big arrow pointing at him. And until I see it, I am going to boycott Donkey Kong Bananza.
And I think everyone listening to this should too. Xananab watch.
We're like the release the Snyder Cut people, except we're a lot more specific and insular.
We want this one character who showed up in one game and never again.
Hibby Sloth says justice for Xananab. And Just Andre says Donkey Kong is the Joel to Pauline's Ellie. To continue the recent Hyle actually knows things about a non-DKU game because of HBO's The Last of Us thread. I've never actually watched The Last of Us, but I know about The Last of Us.
That's all you really need, though. You get it.
Honestly, Pedro Pascal would make a great Donkey Kong because he can play anything.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. Yeah. I could see someone who could play anything also being Donkey Kong.
It's great. Pedro Pascal. He should have been Donkey Kong, not Seth Rogen.
Should have been Pedro.
Should have been Pedro. Hello to Me Muppet, who has also joined us.
Hello, Me Muppet. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. All right. We have another call. Well, we have several more calls, actually, but this is the sixth one. Are you ready?
It feels never ending, but I am ready.
The call sack, it's just bursting right now. And we should have...
I'm pretending to be Mr. So many calls, but I like it. I like listening to people. I like responding to our friends.
You're not Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. No matter how much I wish I was.
Jeff is a cool guy, but he's too cool for the cul-de-sac. And
he sees someone offering their opinion, and they say, "Get the hell out of my face."
And then he rides off on his motorcycle with a sexy orangutan.
And I say, "Damn, I wish that was me."
All right, 6th call. Let's play it.
Which brother's bear is best? Which brother's bear is best? Which brother's bear is best? Which brother's bear is? Which brother's bear is? Which brother's bear is the best of the brothers? Which brother's bear is best? It's Wonder. It's Wonder Bear. It's really funny. It's my answer. Anyways, Donkey Kong Bananza. That's coming out, like, really soon. I'm pretty stoked about it. I feel like we're entering a new era of Donkey Kong, which I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. Also, I'm driving in the rain, hope that's not too loud. Anyways, Donkey Kong Bananza. It's a whole new fucking life Donkey Kong fans are living, right? Because we had such a long hiatus, and I feel like there just hasn't been a series of time for a long time that the Donkey Kong fans, there's been enough games in a row really to amass a big following in the same way that Mario or Zelda or Metroid have had, I feel like, or other franchises, have had more consistent games so that a person might grow up playing 2 or 3 or 5 games in that series to the point where they're like, wow, I'm a Donkey Kong fan. There's probably a lot of kids growing up who are like, wow, I'm a Donkey Kong Returns fan or a Tropical Freeze fan or a, what's that one, Jungle Climber fan. But I feel like Bananza, plus the park, plus King K. Rool and Smash, plus his emphasis in the movie, I feel like we're entering a new era where all the little kids are gonna grow up. They're gonna get this brand new Switch 2 for Christmas with Donkey Kong Bananza, play it, and be like, all right, what's next? And Nintendo will be like this, and it'll be something. And maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I feel like the Switch 2 is gonna have at least 2 Donkey Kong games on it. At least 2, maybe 3, assuming Bananza sells well, which I really think it will, given it's basically the only not Mario Kart game on the Switch right now. And I'm just really stoked for that. I became a big DK fan because of the GBA ports to the of Donkey Kong Country 1. It was my first Nintendo game, actually. And that's what made me, love Nintendo and all that. And I'm just really excited for all of the fans who are going to experience Bananza for the first time, experience the spin-offs to that. Maybe we get as Ocarina of Time or Breath of the Wild is to Majora's Mask or Tears of the Kingdom, maybe we get Donkey Kong Bananza, but everything's all dark and fucked up or, something. I can see that. Cause using that same engine towards the end of closer to the end of the lifespan of the Switch 2. And I'm just so stoked to see it. I'm so stoked Bananza's coming out. I really hope King K. Rool's in it, but I'll live if he's not. And it's awesome. This feels like the reset the series has needed for a really, really, really long time. And I hope that it can get a consistent number of games in a consistent enough amount of time that it develops a whole new tier of Bananza fans. Sorry, Donkey Kong fans.
And either the message got cut off because they hit the limit, or they skidded out in the rain and met a grisly fate.
Hyle, did you hear that Brothers Bears song he sang at the beginning? That was awesome.
Yeah.
Is that like a reference? Is that like a reference to something? I thought it was cool.
I think it was a reference to the Disney movie Brother Bear.
I could see that. I do like Brother Bear.
I don't.
Disney's Brother Bear.
I don't watch kids movies because I'm a sophisticated adult, but
I don't watch movies made for little 2-year-old babies in diapers.
No, I only watch really prestige Criterion Collection releases.
If it's not Donkey Kong: The Legend of the Crystal Coconut, I don't give 2 fucks.
No, I mean it's a great point. Can I just say though, the rain and the sound of the windshield wipers, it was almost like ASMR. I was actually getting lulled to sleep there.
I like a nice rainy day or a rainy night.
The only thing is, when the barometric pressure changes, I tend to get migraines. So don't like that. I can do without that.
I could see that holding you back from liking it.
Yeah. I like the sound of running water though.
That's good too. And you know what? The best part about that is you can do it at home with a parent's permission.
Yeah, you could just have a squirrel pee on you, as Birdie did in Conker's Big Reunion.
Yeah, it turns out it was an ASMR thing. He was like, I just love that sound of running water. Thank you, Conquer, my friend.
Yeah. So it's a great point, though. The Call's broader point that, yes, this is the beginning of a new era for Donkey Kong, and it will be bringing in loads of new Donkey Kong fans. And
yeah,
again, I feel like people have been taking some of the comments I've made recently, and they've just been taking them wrongly or out of proportion, or they're looking for an angle, they're looking for an agenda there, and like they have this idea of what DK Vine is in their head, and anything I say, they're using that to validate it. And so this idea that we are bitter Rare fans who hate everything about Donkey Kong post 2002.
So untrue.
So untrue, right? And the fact that we are as excited about Bonanza as we are, I would hope would be a testament to that, but apparently I haven't been just like, I said, I was a little bit worried with that first trailer, and I was worried it's going to be a Jungle Beat situation again, and then people were like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I love all the new stuff being brought to Donkey Kong. I just don't want the old stuff flushed away as well.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'll admit to being a Rare fanboy. Rare is what got me into the Donkey Kong series. But, I like this non-Rare stuff too. You know what I think part of it is just a lot of us are looking for that validation. It feels like a lot of the Rare DK stuff gets left by the wayside a lot of the time. So we just like knowing that stuff does matter. But it's not the end-all be-all of the series either. I like seeing them bring in new things. I like all the new stuff. I like Pauline in this game. I love what we're seeing with Bonanza.
I think a lot of people don't understand the mentality of the Donkey Kong fandom because it is so atypical from other similar video game fandoms where we've never really had the same experiences, or they have never had the same experiences we have of having to always argue like tooth and nail for the validity of the things in your series. And
yeah,
it's
not that we're unpleasable or anything.
No, absolutely not. And the thing
in fact,
is,
it takes very little to please us.
My broader point that relates to this call is we are not gatekeepers, nor should we be gatekeepers. I welcome the infusion of new Donkey Kong fans that Bonanza will bring in.
For sure. Let me say, there's no wrong way to enjoy this. That's kind of what got under my skin about seeing people like, oh, you care about Mario and DK lore? What are you, stupid? That feels gatekeeping to me. It's like, I'll enjoy it however I want. I'm not telling you how to enjoy Donkey Kong. Yeah. I want everyone to enjoy Donkey Kong how they want.
Right. Let people have their fun. Unless they're using the game to bludgeon somebody to death, I don't really... Yeah, there's not a wrong way to enjoy this.
Yeah, that is maybe going a little too far. But, it's going to be some people's first Donkey Kong game. They're not going to know exactly the rights and wrongs.
Oh, so you're saying that if somebody does bludgeon somebody to death with Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's just because they don't know how to properly enjoy Donkey Kong, so we shouldn't hold it against them?
Yeah.
Well, I think that will hold up in a court of law. Yeah, I think...
it's our first time.
Oh, no. We've just set the stage. July 17th will be Purge Day as people run out to buy Donkey Kong Bonanza and then commit mass murder.
I do feel like it's the only way to properly celebrate Donkey Kong Bonanza.
But yeah, I look at like everybody on our staff and in our like inner circle and in the like community, and just like when people got into the series, our caller was the GBA remakes, which is a lot of people got into the series with those GBA remakes. I mean, there's a reason why the GBA remakes sort of set the stage for Retros games, because they sold so well. They were popular enough that they kept the torch going post buyout. And
yeah, I mean, those aren't like my first time playing those games. Like I grew up I had played the Donkey Kong Country games at some friends' houses, but I think those were my first times actually owning them were the GBA games, just being able to play them whenever I wanted.
Mm-hmm. And with other people, it's Returns or Tropical Freeze, or they discovered Donkey Kong via the Super Mario Brothers movie, or they went to Universal Studios and became enchanted with the ways of the Kong via...
That's how my little nephew found out about Donkey Kong. Like, he doesn't have any video game systems. He doesn't, like, play video games that much. But he saw the Mario movie. Now he knows Donkey Kong. He loves Donkey Kong. And since then, I've shown him, I've played some of the DKC games with him, and he likes those as well. Just yesterday, he was playing Donkey Kong Country. It was, what a marvelous, magical time.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo has played this very, very smart. This very slow walk towards rebuilding the prestige of the Donkey Kong brand. They have basically done everything right up until this point.
Yeah.
So,
agreed.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that all the shit I have been saying for the past, 6 years or so, 7 years, 8 years, about how, 7 years, we'll say 7 years at the outset. All this stuff I've been saying about how Nintendo is building Donkey Kong back up, and that's their long-term goal, is to get the brand basically on par with Mario and Zelda and Splatoon and all these other series that have been Nintendo mainstays during the Switch era. It's coming true. We are living it. We're almost there.
Yeah. I'm very excited. And this kind of goes back to one of the calls we got earlier. I don't want to start sounding ungrateful. I don't want to be like, all right, well, Bonanza's here, but where's my next Donkey Kong game? But I am really excited for that possibility that it could be like Mario, like Zelda, where it has its big mainline games, but it can also get smaller games too. Yeah. Like we just came off of so long without any Donkey Kong games. Now it feels like, okay, we got Bonanza. Now we could get some smaller stuff to keep this brand up there, keep it alive, like Mario or Zelda gets. That's very exciting.
Sure, and I think we will. I mean, I pretty much know we will, because at this point, that's what Donkey Kong is, and that's a new reality we're all going to have to get used to. We're not gonna we're not gonna be the weirdo, smelly outsiders anymore, looking for table scraps. We're gonna be sitting with the adults at the big table, dining.
We gotta put on our little fancy bibs.
Yeah. We're going to have to know the proper way to display our silverware.
We're gonna have to wear shoes now.
Yeah.
We can't be wearing our top hats with the top part flapping off and a big patch on it.
And we're also wearing them on our butts.
Yeah, exactly. We can't be doing that anymore.
No, it's a new era we find ourselves in. We are civilized gaming folk now. All right. Well, thank you for the call. Should we go ahead and play that seventh call?
Let's play that seventh call.
Hello, Dustin. Hello, Hyle. This is Clonex. I'm calling in for the final Donkey Kong Bonanza pre-release call back. And I think a lot of people are going to talk about how excited they are for the gameplay, so I want to step back a little. I want to talk about the meta, the hype cycle itself. I think it's been interesting looking in on the wider Nintendo fan base from the perspective of a very keyed-in Donkey Kong fan. And I think that it's been a genuinely positive story. We spent a lot of time talking about how the mainstream maybe doesn't understand Donkey Kong, or they're flippant about Donkey Kong lore in a way that is not legitimate, or it's kind of silly. But I think the mainstream response has been very positive, and I think it's because Nintendo has done a very good job acclimating people to the idea of a very high-profile Donkey Kong game. The Donkey Kong Direct is really good at getting skeptical people on board. The fact that it has so much marketing in general has turned people onto it. And while Nintendo has certainly not been perfect with PR management during the Switch 2 generation, for Bonanza they made basically all the right moves. And I think it's also going to be very interesting to see how this game sells, especially upon release. I know maybe you're not as much into sales as I am, but given that it's been such a long time since the 3D Donkey Kong game, I really don't know what to expect. I think it's probably going to be successful, but it's going to be, I think, very interesting to see if it like can crack like 15 million lifetime units, or if it's going to be just like a little bit higher than the typical 2D Donkey Kong games. This is the sort of excitement that you see with like a property that's getting a bunch of new relevant games, and I just want it to keep happening and never stop. Thank you for taking the call.
Well, yeah, thank you for the call. I am not worried about sales, and part of that is Donkey Kong, generally speaking, has always been a reliable seller in a way that a lot of people tend to overlook or dismiss, just because since the core of online Nintendo fandom crystallized, was set in stone in the buyout era, in the GameCube era, as normies would call it. It's not really ever thought of in those terms, but basically every mainline Donkey Kong game, except for the first release of Tropical Freeze, did really well. And I mean, Jungle Beat, maybe not so much, but that was, again, tied to the bongos. So there's always been circumstances for when a Donkey Kong game has kind of fallen below expectations.
Yeah, but even the GameCube, like, it wasn't as big a failure as the Wii U, but it wasn't, like, the hottest system out there either.
And then you tie your big Donkey Kong game behind a peripheral and confuse everyone. They think it's just another Donkey Konga game and not a 2D platformer. And
I get it. I understand.
Yeah. But this one, you're right. Like, Nintendo has gone above and beyond. And part of that is because it is internally developed. It is Nintendo EPD. It is the big high-profile release after Mario Kart World, the first 3D platformer on the Switch. I mean, so many people are just aghast, slack-jawed that they would be doing this over 3D Mario, but everything we've talked about on the Kongversation over the past 7 years about how they wanted to get Donkey Kong back to this point of relevance like it was in the 1990s. Donkey Kong is Miyamoto's baby after all, and he's always valued it as much as Mario. It just never really had a stable home. They finally prioritized it having a stable home post-Rare, and here we are. And so they're doing the marketing, they're putting the budget in to prop it up. And I think the excitement is there in a way that wouldn't traditionally be there for a Donkey Kong game. And I say excitement, I'm talking about that Nintendo fandom, that really was set in stone beginning with the GameCube era, who may have overlooked Donkey Kong, despite Donkey Kong always being popular, despite it always having a reliable fan base. It has been something that's been overlooked, and maybe hasn't been to the same level as your Mario, as your Zelda, as your Pokemon, your Splatoon. Now it is, or now it will be.
It's interesting looking back at the series that are kind of considered like the cream of the crop and then kind of fall to the wayside a little bit. Like, Wario seemed like a huge character in the 90s. And over time, it feels like that star's kind of faded. You know, we still get WarioWare games, which is great, but they never feel like huge Nintendo releases. They never feel like WarioWare's never up there with Zelda or Mario, and Wario Land is just dead entirely.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't. I love Wario, but I'm glad that DK gets to be put up there again. It was kind of slipping down the theoretical importance tiers of Nintendo series, and this gets it back up there. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen Nintendo really put this much muscle behind Donkey Kong. I mean, I would say this outstrips what they did in 2010 for Returns. It's not like they didn't do anything for Returns. They certainly did, and that was their big holiday game for 2010. But, I mean, this feels like Donkey Kong 64 in 1999.
Yeah,
that's the last time I really remember it being this huge seismic deal that a Donkey Kong game was coming, and it felt widespread. It almost felt like Returns, in a larger sense, to the outside video game communities, was more of a novelty than it was the start of something brand new, and this return to prominence, and here we are, it's back, it's finally back for good. A lot of people viewed it as more of a one-off, and then they got really upset when Tropical Freeze was announced. And
it's weird because I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like with this, everybody's viewing this. There's some people still who are viewing this as, oh, okay, well, maybe they'll announce 3D Mario then in the autumn. Like, there are people who are like, okay, but when are we getting the real main event? But by and large, I think people are viewing this because of the way Nintendo has rolled this out, because of the way they've reacclimated everyone to Donkey Kong, especially over the past 2 years. I think everyone's viewing this as a major release. And, oh yeah, maybe that means Donkey Kong is a major Nintendo franchise again.
Yeah, I love that Donkey Kong gets to be on that same pillar with Mario. Like, yeah, I have seen some people being like, okay, well, what about Mario? Can we get the 3D Mario, though? But I love that DK gets to stand on his own. It doesn't have to be, okay, well, they're obviously making the real one. It can just be like, no, this is the real one. I eventually will get Mario, a 3D Mario, I'm sure of it, of course. But this just gets to be that for now.
Yeah.
It's not like a stopgap. It's not a placeholder game.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing. It does feel like the beginning of a new era. It's not just, oh shit, we need a Donkey Kong thing out because Miyamoto's getting grumpy about it.
Yeah, like, as much as I love Returns and Tropical Freeze, to me, those never felt like they were on that same level as, like, a Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey. Like, I don't want to disparage 2D platformers, but it did just kind of feel like, oh, this is a simpler, smaller game, just by nature of what it is. And as they're great games, and they're big games for Nintendo, but I feel like 2D platformers can only go so far in that place. Like, even New Super Mario Brothers, that never feels like the big top tier high profile Mario release.
I think by virtue of Mario being what it is, like the 2D games feel like a big deal, but I think, and it's a kind of like what we've always talked about with the Payon games back in the buyout era, you know, King of Swing and Jungle Climber specifically, where it felt like those games were always overlooked because there really wasn't anything to tether them to. There wasn't that inertia for the series, because the big mainline Donkey Kong game of that era was Jungle Beat, which we just explained why that kind of struggled. And then you had the GBA remakes of the Donkey Kong Country games, which were a bigger deal, but they shouldn't have been a bigger deal because they were remakes of games from the previous decade. And with Mario, you always know there's going to be a big Mario game coming eventually. And so every Mario release feels like it's part of that, even if it's not a big, big game. And I think we didn't know back when we knew EPD was doing Donkey Kong, we didn't know what kind of game it was going to be exactly. My hunch was that it was going to be 3D because that would be the way to announce to everyone Donkey Kong is back and you should respect him. And I think that's what we're seeing. Like, and again, I would never disparage 2D platformers. That's probably my favorite genre. That's my favorite genre of games. Returns and Tropical Freeze were magnificent. And I think after this, 2D Donkey Kong games will be viewed a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think so too. And I am glad Bonanza's a 3D game. I personally do prefer 3D over 2D just most of the time. But yeah, it felt like they were marketed as smaller games, or presented as smaller games, not the big 3D adventures. These are just little 2D games, and like they were great, but you could never really shake that feeling with them.
In the live stream, Chocolate Milk Drinker says the question is, will Nintendo sacrifice some other franchise to be in the same place as how Donkey Kong has been? Meaning, these resources are going towards Donkey Kong. What is being pushed aside? And I don't
hope you guys aren't thirsting for more Zelda games.
It turns out Link made those tweets a couple years back, and
that was pretty uncool.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's really going to be the case, especially with the way we know EPD has expanded. There's all this discussion right now about like who exactly is responsible for Bonanza, because some people are saying it's exactly the same people who were behind Super Mario Odyssey. Other people are saying it is some of the Odyssey people, but it's also other people. Back in the day when we were first talking about this, we had been led to believe it wasn't exactly the Odyssey team. It was kind of like new teams or new compositions of people at EPD behind this. And I don't know. I don't know, but I think they have expanded. They have brought on more people. And I think the goal is to not necessarily like replace any Nintendo franchise to build up Donkey Kong. It's just to get Donkey Kong back on sure footing so we can have regular Donkey Kong releases, and they can do something that's different than Mario. That it's not just going to be, oh, here's the 2D platformer that's skinned as a Donkey Kong game, and then here's the one that's skinned as a Mario game. There's always been a difference between them and how they play and what they do, the tone, the feel. And I think we're even seeing that a little bit with Bonanza. It's not just a reskinned Odyssey starring Donkey Kong.
Right, it has similar elements to Odyssey, but it doesn't just feel like, oh, this is the exact same game, but it's a Gorilla Time.
Which was the original title, actually. Super Mario Odyssey. It's the exact same game, but Gorilla Time.
I would have bought that.
Yeah. The focus groups said it was a bit confusing.
It's pretty straightforward. It tells you everything you need to know. It is Gorilla Time.
And Meme Up, it says, Nintendo itself is expanding. Many more characters will have their moment. Yeah, for all the criticisms that Nintendo is getting right now, about, anti-consumer practices, at the very least, they are one company that is bringing on more people rather than just slashing jobs for, giggles.
Yeah, Nintendo's actually looking pretty good overall, in comparison at least.
I'm not saying we should ever, champion a giant corporation and think they're our friends, but it is something where if they are surface level doing something right, I'm going to say, yeah, you know what, keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly. From the outside looking in, they seem to at least be doing the least amount of things pissing me off.
And really, that's the barometer. How mad is Dustin? That's usually how I try to live my life. I'm like, would this upset Dustin? And if I say, yeah, probably, I don't do it.
Yeah, you know how angry I get all the time. I'm pretty nicey nice on this podcast, but outside of this, I'm just a real shithead monster.
Yeah, you're on this podcast maybe 2-3 times a month. Really, you're just an abusive bully.
That's true, and I like it, too. I don't apologize for doing any of it. I push people down in the sand, step on their fingers.
You're only a really sweet human being, 9 hours every month.
Yeah, it just happens to line up with the Kongversation.
I know, I track it by the moon. That's how I know it's time to record.
All right, we can probably talk about Donkey Kong with Dustin today.
All right, let's take our 8th call. Hey, we're halfway there, Dustin.
Hey, do you mind if I pee real fast first?
So long as you do it on me, get me some of that running water ASMR.
We'll see if you're good.
Oh, I haven't been.
Cool, good.
Should we play our 8th call?
I guess, while we're here.
Hello, this is Rummy.
I'm a relatively new follower of DK Vine, and I've actually just listened to the recent podcast recently, and in fact, I've had a few things to say about. By the way, Hyle, I just want to say, it's been a crazy 11 years, hasn't it? I've been waiting for a new Donkey Kong game. It's kind of insane, right? I've honestly also been waiting for like 11 years as well, and oh man, I'm so excited for Bananza. And I just want to talk about the recent podcast I listened to while I was walking around, before I tried to demo it myself at the Best Buy. I often feel like a lot of, like people get so cynical and so nihilistic about, like, Nintendo's intentions, about, like, the lore and everything. Obviously, I know that's not the conversation that, I'm recording for the podcast on, but I just want to say that it's really admirable how, like, dedicated that, like, I've seen, like, Donkey Kong, like, community be, like, about all of the theories and all the cracking and everything. In fact, I've been kind of in the background absorbing all of it in my last few months of my life. It's been wondrous. I honestly, I'm amazed. And I kind of want to say, like, it's nice to see that, you're around still and you're following up on all of this and kind of looking around. It's frankly admirable. Keep at it, Hyle, right? Sorry, I'm bad with names. I'm awful with names, but anyways, that's all I gotta say. You have a nice one, Hyle, and I'll keep listening, It's been nice listening to a podcast that can just listen in the background for a few hours and have a great time. Keep at it, and I'll be listening for the future. This is Rummy, out.
Well, thank you for the call, Rummy. I'm also terrible with names, if it makes you feel any better.
Yeah, before the show started, Hyle called me Derek like 4 times.
I did. I'm sorry. I also called you Darren and Darwood.
Yeah, we got there eventually, at least.
Yeah.
I did like Darwood. I was contemplating being like, should I just tell him that's right?
Then I would have been mortified because I've been getting it wrong all this time.
Who the fuck is Dustin?
Oh, jeez. Anyway, yeah, I can remember Rummy because I like rum.
Yeah, that's good. I can remember it because it sounds like Remy, the little rat chef from Ratatouille.
See, we all have our things. You have Disney Pixar cartoons. I have alcoholism.
Same thing, really.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I love Donkey Kong. I love the broader world of Rare. I have always, as I said in the last episode I did with Courtney, I love storytelling in general. So of course it's why I gravitated towards this series and why it just spoke to me. Just all the little things it does, the attention to detail, the unspoken world building that would go on. And I mean, I became a lifelong fan. I tried to escape this, and I felt like something was missing in my life. My life felt a little bit more hollow without it, because it does bring me so much happiness. But beyond that, it also allows me to connect with other people who have also had that experience with this series. And, it's a great icebreaker. It's a great way to unite people through different cultures and language barriers. Like, we have this commonality. And so, yeah, that's why I still do this, because I think, for one thing, these games deserve to be championed. They deserve to have the same degree of celebration. And if not us, then somebody else would have had to do it. Somebody else. I mean, I know we're not the only ones out there, but just as far as being this doggedly persistent when it comes to doing a regular podcast and maintaining a website and keeping it up to date and relevant and current. And it hasn't been easy, but it's actually been more easy than you might think, because I think our passion, our shared collective passion for this, is boundless. And so even if it was another 11 years, I probably would keep at it.
Yeah, I think part of it is, like, even when we don't have anything new to talk about, we still have, like, a ton of stuff we like talking about.
Right. And that's the thing, like, people do it for other stuff. I mean, I brought up Lord of the Rings in the last episode. There hasn't really been anything new regarding Lord of the Rings. I know every so often they'll release this new, like, oh, we found some Tolkien's writings, we're gonna package it in this new book. But I mean, it really hasn't had anything new since the 70s, and yet people can still talk about it and still find angles and still find little discoveries. And I think it's the same thing with Donkey Kong and the broader DKU. So what's all the more exciting, though, is we don't have to do that. We have new stuff to talk about. We are entering this bold new era for Donkey Kong. And, like, we're still going to talk about the old stuff. We're still going to bring up arcane details from past games. We're still going to do spotlights. We're still going to do anniversary celebrations, bestiaries.
Character showcase Frankie the Pitchfork.
Yeah. Character witness, you mean?
That's the one.
Yeah, bestiaries, destination DKUs.
You should do a bestiary on, I just since I guess Conker's on my mind right now, do the haystacks.
The haystack. Yeah, you know what? We should do that the week Bonanza comes out.
That's a good idea. People can wait to hear our thoughts on Bonanza a little more. Let's talk about the hopping haystacks.
Yes, because are they the same as the haystacks from Diddy Kong Racing with the googly eyes?
Ooh, that's a good question. We don't see the mouths of them in Diddy Kong Racing, but they could just not have much to say.
They could just, be perfectly content just sitting there in the fields. Yeah. See,
some like being scenery.
This is how we do it. This is what we hit upon this idea. Wait, haystacks and Conker? Haystacks and Diddy Kong Racing? I think that's a podcast.
I'm looking forward to that one day.
We'll get to it one day. And yeah, we're going to keep doing this. I don't know how to do anything else at this point.
Me neither, really. What else would I talk about?
Oh,
Mario?
In the live stream, Chocolate Milk Drinker just beat Donkey Kong Land 3.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
You've accomplished nothing because K. Rool gets away at the end.
But hey, as long as you had fun.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Oh, I mean, Dixie and Kitty proved they're better than Donkey and Diddy in this regard.
In this one specific instance, yeah.
K. Rool proved that he's better than everyone, though. So really, it's just a dour ending. K. Rool gets the money he needs because he wins the Lost World contest, and he gets the money and he funds the Blast-O-Matic and the Mechanical Crocodile Isle.
So it really is their fault.
I mean, that's why Dixie and Kitty don't show up out of shame.
They're like, ooh, I think we'll sit this one out.
Yeah, our fault.
Sorry.
All right, should we play the ninth caller?
Yeah, let's do that.
Hey, this is Kyle. Donkey Kong Bananza looks amazing. Like, I kept telling myself I was going to refuse to buy a Nintendo Switch 2, given how I've been annoyed at how anti-consumer Nintendo's been acting these past several years, particularly when it comes to software prices. But given how successful the Switch 2 launch was, it's clear me boycotting it isn't going to make a drum up in the bucket. Regardless, due to my personal finances, I doubt I'd be able to get the game or system until Black Friday at the earliest, and I'm still debating if I want it or the PS5 more. My main worry with Bonanza is I'm worried there might be too much content. A lot of open world games tend to bloat it, and Odyssey suffered that to some extent with the amount of power moves. There's also the matter of K. Rool being in the game. Part of me doesn't want this to be a hijacked by Ganon scenario, since I like a huge rogue gallery and would prefer, and I think a good compromise would be K. Rool being a boss in the post-game, and maybe a secret boss / sequel hook. So a small sadistic part of me and my Mario Party brain wants it to turn out to be Bowser pulling the strings to prop up their rivalry and just to troll the fans, but I know that's mean.
Well, thank you for the call, Kyle. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't want Bowser in this game.
No, that's like my big problem with Yoshi games, is he doesn't have a villain, it's just Bowser.
I know there is going to be some threads connecting back to Odyssey And, Donkey Kong and Mario will always be sister series. I have come to accept that, Dustin. Believe it or not, I am not this radical zealot that I make myself out to be. I'm well
you gotta
aware.
Be adaptable. We talked about it before.
Yeah, I'm well aware that these series will always be linked. However, they have done a really good job of making Donkey Kong its own thing where applicable, in a way that Yoshi has never been. Wario kind of gets there, but again,
I'd say Wario's there. It's as different from Mario as Donkey Kong is. He has his own setting and cast and stuff. It's just he doesn't get to show it off as much.
The big difference there is Wario is still Mario wearing different clothes and
that's a good point. Like, you're just never going to be able to get away from that specific part.
I mean, he's a different character completely, yes, but it's like saying the character of Bizarro is different from Superman. Well, he's still
or Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
he is a different character, but you look at him and you think, you are evil Sonic, though.
Yeah, but with Donkey Kong, and this is mostly by virtue of, like, Rare really reinventing what Donkey Kong could be and defining what his world was, really set it apart from Mario. And aside from Donkey and some of the other Kongs occasionally showing up in these Mario side games, they've done a real good job of being respectful when it comes to, like, not crossing them over too much, except where it makes sense. I thought the Super Mario Brothers movie made sense as far as reestablishing Donkey Kong and kind of being a Trojan horse, getting Donkey Kong in the minds of impressionable moviegoers. I mean, again, Donkey Kong pretty much wrecked that screenplay. It's actually a terrible Mario movie, but as a Donkey Kong fan, I thought it was a terrific 1/3 of a Donkey Kong movie. So
right. Like, they could have used all that time to establish more with this story, establish more of the Mushroom Kingdom, but instead they did Donkey Kong, and I am grateful for it.
Yeah. I mean, the movie stunk as regard, but I still gave it a good rating because Donkey Kong, yes. So, I mean, that's all that really mattered for me, right? That's why I was there.
I got what I wanted.
Yeah, but I think having Bowser be the villain of Bonanza would be too far.
Too much.
Like, Pauline is a shared element, obviously, like the arcade era.
Yeah, Pauline's fine, but Bowser just really has no relation to DK outside of, like, cameo games.
Yeah. And look, everything we've seen so far doesn't, for me, suggest they would do that, because all the fossils, like, we're not seeing Goombas, we're not seeing Koopas, we are seeing Donkey Kong relevant fossils.
Mm-hmm.
Zingers, oinks, anglerfish, swordfish, frogs, So I'm naughties, of course. So I'm feeling
the head of Wrinkly Kong.
Yeah. So I'm feeling okay about that. I will K. Rool be in it? Maybe. Like, I see all the fan theories. I see all of the, like, sleuthing. I think it makes sense for K. Rool to be in there.
I don't think it's impossible.
I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's even outlandish or people huffing copium. I think it's, honestly, at this point, I could see it go either way, but I would not be shocked. I would not be surprised. I would not, like, honestly, like, I am probably leaning towards, I think K. Rool will be, at the very least, acknowledged somewhere. But
yeah,
I don't know. But I do think that K. Rool has a future in the Donkey Kong series, even if, for whatever reason, he doesn't have much of a role to play in Bonanza.
Yeah, so before we started recording this episode, I knew this was going to be a point that would come up eventually. I think where I land on it is, I could see it go either way. I could see K. Rool in there, but if he's not, I'll be a little disappointed, just because I do want to see the big brand new Donkey Kong game also be K. Rool's big comeback to the series. But if he doesn't, Voidco looks awesome. Like, I will take Voidco over Tiki Tong. This is just me slagging on the retro games again. I don't mean to, but those final bosses are not my favorites. Voidco, the Voidco Kongs, rather, they all look awesome. I love their designs. And I said it before, these are new Kongs for the first time in a long time.
Right.
So if we don't get K. Rool, I'll be a little disappointed, but these guys are great too. If we have to go a Donkey Kong game without K. Rool, I'm glad it's with these new Kongs that have such cool designs.
Yeah. I think, again, it's something that we are going to have to get used to as a fandom, where we don't have to get everything in one game in one go. Like, a lot of people are viewing this as it's been 11 years and it's going to be 11.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. It's going to be another 11-year hiatus after this. We'll be dead before we see K. Rool back. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's going to be the case. And look, it's minor, it's minute, it's nothing really to go off of. But when Nintendo showed off the Donkey Kong series amiibo during the Bonanza Direct, where they say you can use the Donkey Kong series amiibo to get explosive Kong letters, the fact that K. Rool was shown there, at the very least, there's not some sort of embargo. Like, a lot of people are building up this idea that, Nintendo hates K. Rool, Nintendo is going to keep away from K. Rool or the Kremlins, and I'm like, they're still acknowledging him. Like, it's
right. He's still on their radar. Like, if they hated him, they wouldn't let you use the K. Rool amiibo.
Right. It's not like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is ancient history. Yeah.
Another very even smaller thing than that, I totally forgot about that recent-ish trailer for the whole Donkey Kong Country series on the Switch. That had K. Rool in it. Like, he was hopping around.
He was hopping. He was falling. He got back up again.
Yeah, so they're minor things, but those are still... That's more than K. Rool had for a long time.
Chocolate Milk Drinker says, I'm going to be super, super surprised if K. Rool and the Kremlins aren't here in any form, but I would be disappointed in some form. I think it's going to be weird, right? If they have crocodile enemies in the game that stand upright. That's the other thing, too, about the crocoids. They walk around on two legs.
Yeah.
It's not like those little crocodiles that you encounter in Mario Kart World, like near Faraway Oasis, where they're just crocodiles, and you're like, well, they're just crocodiles. Because
here they're being presented as anthropomorphic crocodiles, not just on all fours lying down.
Humanoid crocodiles. So Grumpy Kong is doing something with these skeletal beings, and they could be skeletal critters. For all we know, they're just reanimated as crocoids. And I think they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't go there. Don't go there if you're not going to reference the Kremlins. I mean,
Don't go there, girlfriend.
Retro was very careful about not having any crocodiles in either of their games. And
it would be like if a Mario game didn't have Bowser or Koopas, but they did have like a completely different turtle enemy that just looked like Koopas.
Right, Ninja Turtles, in fact.
Yeah, that's what we'll call them.
Which, they wouldn't fight. Mario wouldn't fight them because they would bond over Italian food.
Yeah, they'd say, hey, you want a pizza, man? I'm Michelangelo.
Wow. It's like I'm in the sewer. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it made you think he was really here.
So, yeah, I think just given the wealth of references and how deep it's going, I think, they're going to acknowledge the Kremlins. I think K. Rool will be referenced, even if it's sequel bait. And I would be okay with that if K. Rool shows up in the post-credits and is like, yeah, what's up?
Miss me, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, he's getting pissed on by Void Kong. And he's just like,
and he said, "Stop."
Oh, you missed the spot. Right over here.
Oh, okay. He likes it. See, my mind went to him not liking it. He's like, don't go away. But liking it, I think, is better.
Oh, God. I'm trying to sleep. I'm tired.
He's like just passively not even doing anything about it. I'm trying to read here.
What? Oh, come on.
This is very rude behavior.
Yeah. Oh, Skips has just joined us. Skips, we're just talking about K-Rool getting pissed on.
Nothing like gold on gold.
Look, where does that gold belly come from? You didn't have in the pay-on games. Where did it come back? How did it come back?
Yeah, this was gray when he bought it.
Well, hey, you know what? There's that gold membrane stuff that we see Grumpy Kong using.
Oh, do you think it's piss?
No, I'm thinking it's the golden belly. It's how K-Rool gets his golden belly.
Oh, that was going to be my next guess, yeah.
Yeah. Is this how we summon Skips? We talk about K-Rool getting peed on 3 times, and then he appears in the mirror?
I mean, I know I'd arrive if I heard it.
You're just talking with the rest of the Idaho crew, and then they realize it's a dust cloud shaped like Dustin, and they're like, "Oh, somebody's talking about characters getting urinated on."
It's like the bat signal.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for our 10th caller?
I've never been more ready for anything.
You just want to move on. You just want to move the discussion forward from what we've gotten stuck on.
I'm having fun. I would never turn down the possibility of talking about K-Rool being peed on more.
Okay, because I have some episodes in mind about the subject in quieter times. We're going to revisit it. But for now, let's take our 10th call.
Howdy, Hyle and Dustin at the DK Vine. I'm really excited about the new Donkey Kong Bananza game, so had to call in. I kind of just wanted to go over like a few of my basic thoughts because overall, game looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really, really hoping it turns out as well as the trailers have led me to believe it will. Admittedly, this is kind of a weird thing to bring up because I feel like no one else has said it, so maybe I'm weird for even picking up on this, but I feel like one thing that I'm kind of missing is I think one thing I've always appreciated about like rarer games, especially like Donkey Kong Country and Banjo-Kazooie, was kind of like there was kind of a bit of a, how do I describe this? Like maybe more of a sarcastic tone they had, where they were still really fun. I care about the characters, I care about the plot, but they always had that kind of, they would have the meta jokes. They would have more, I guess, like darker humor or more sarcastic jokes and stuff. I don't know how to describe it, but I guess just the tone always felt more like that, I guess. And I will admit, I mean, I understand why, considering it's a different development team, but I am kind of missing that from the new game. But that's really my only hang-up, and it's a minor one. I think it's more of a me problem than anything. But other than that, I mean, graphically it looks fantastic. It really looks like it's taking advantage of the new hardware and just looks fun. And you guys have said this before, but one thing I'm really excited about is just, like, even if we don't see, like, King K. Rool or the Kremlings and stuff in this game, just the way it's celebrating the franchise, it really feels like they don't have to be in this game. I really want them to be, don't get me wrong. But there's still that hope that even if they aren't, I have faith that they can appear. All sorts of characters from all across the history of the franchise can appear, unlike before where it was kind of like, well, they won't they, you know. It looked really great. And I figure to continue off of the Ringo Starr chain from last time, I'll leave you with this. I'd like to be in DKC in a croctopus's garden with you. Hey guys, it's Darcy again. I called again because I had one of those moments where I call and then I end the call and then like within 5 minutes I think of 70 things I should have said that I didn't say, so I'm back. But I kind of just wanted to like talk a little bit more about the tone thing, because I think I kind of fumbled it the first time. But I think ever since probably middle school is when I first really started picking up on it. But I think that that tone has always been a big part of why I really love Rare games. Because it always served kind of as like a contrast to, I guess, mainstream Nintendo, I might call it, especially with Mario. Because yeah, I love Mario games. I eat them up. I love Mario games. But for the most part, a lot of the mainline ones, they feel, I guess the best way I would describe it is they kind of feel more Disney, and Rare games always felt more Looney Tunes to me, if that makes sense. Mario games always felt more about, they always felt like, oh, wonder, we're going on an adventure, yippee, with friends, yippee. Whereas Rare games, it's I felt like they always had more of a edge to them, not like a super adult edge, and not a super cynical edge, just a little bit of that edge, with Grunty and Cranky Kong just as characters, I feel are just super entertaining, and they're funny. Banjo-Tooie, which is my favorite game of all time, I feel like that's kind of just the peak of that tone I like, and I always loved how they mixed that sort of humorous tone with more feels exaggerating to say, but a more almost gravely serious tone. I don't know if grave is the word, but I love so much of the music from the Donkey Kong Country series, and especially Banjo-Tooie, of how you can go from very cartoony, jaunty music, but then they also have tracks like Forest Interlude or Mining Melancholy, or I forget the name, but I love the Factory track from Donkey Kong Country 3. There's just, I think I love that tone of just mixing that sort of, I think it's almost very British sense of humor and a way of conveying the story with that more serious, grounded tone, and the way that it always just mixes together. And
well, they got cut off there, but I think we got the gist of it. Thank you for the calls.
Thank you.
As the resident 90s kid, I will say that for me, it always felt like mainstream Nintendo, if you want to call it that, was Disney Channel. I'm talking about 90s Disney Channel, whereas Donkey Kong and Rare were always Nickelodeon.
Super Mario 64 was basically even Stevens, yeah.
Well, but Nickelodeon, especially this kind of homogenized a little bit towards the end of the 90s, going into the aughts, where they were Nickelodeon was then chasing Disney Channel and kind of trying to do the same thing. But for a while there, Nickelodeon was the more sardonic, slightly edgier kids media, and Disney was the safer, more wholesome kids media. And, it's not like Rare ever went too far with it. Conquer, the exception, but
a time and a place.
Yes. But yeah, there were slightly more kid level risque jokes, and there was a bit more of a edge to the humor, some sarcasm.
Bottles fucking exploding.
Yeah. But I knew, going into EPD doing Donkey Kong, that I would just have to make some concessions. I would have to let some things go.
Right. Things are going to be different.
Things are going to be different. If it meant Donkey Kong could have a reliable, high-profile developer that would basically get it right, I was more than willing to part with some long-held ideas or things I would have held precious in days past.
Yeah,
that being
plus
said,
different doesn't mean bad.
Right, but that being said, from what I've seen so far, they're actually surprising me with some of the jokes they're making, some of the humor they're doing, and specifically how they're writing Cranky Kong.
Yeah, I was thinking Cranky as well.
Because Cranky is actually making the jokes again. Cranky is actually doing the meta commentary about being in a video game again.
Yeah, and I never would have expected to see that back. Like, I thought, like, okay, someone can write Cranky to be more of an asshole than he's been over the years, and we're getting that as well. But yeah. I never thought we'd have Cranky breaking the fourth wall again. I thought that was just a, like, well, we don't really need that going forward for Cranky. But no, here he is doing it.
He's breaking the fourth wall. He's talking about... Oh, what was the specific reference? But it's like talking about... Not frame rate or something, but it's just like...
He was saying, like, they should have charged more for this game.
Yeah, and he's making references to being the original Donkey Kong again. Like, it's all this stuff that really hasn't come up with the character. We talked about how much we love the pay-on games and how much they incorporated past with the new stuff, but Cranky was just written as a wise old man in those games, and...
Yeah.
You know, Returns, he was at the very least a little bit more cranky, but it was just kind of middle ground, I would say. And this is the first time...
It was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but this is the first time since, like, Rare really had the pen for the character that he's felt like they're ticking all those boxes.
Yeah, he's saying, you dickhead Donkey Kong, you should have been here, you absolute idiot fool.
Right. You were busy scratching your ass in the mines doing this, and I was doing the hard work with my shovel. Like,
yeah, that's also, the Cranky I want.
Also, just how ludicrous it is that Cranky is progressing through the game with a garden shovel.
Yeah.
like Donkey Kong has to do all this stuff about like breaking the barrier, like that Voidco is setting up and going through these like holes down to the layers, like these almost portals that go down deeper into the underground world. And meanwhile, Cranky is just digging.
Yeah, he's just doing it with a shovel.
Which, like, that's the Bonanza sequel that runs on the same engine that I want to see. Just what Cranky was up to when Donkey wasn't interacting with him. He was you just dig. You just dig for like
Cranky digging simulator.
500 hours straight.
I want to shout out. I like that you brought up Banjo-Tooie. Banjo-Tooie is also my favorite game, and the writing for it is one of the big reasons for it. I feel like Banjo-Tooie is like the perfect tone that I like. Like Kazooie kind of gets there. It's funny, but a lot of the dialogue is not quite there. It's more, it's simpler. It's not quite as character focused as Tooie is, and then Nuts and Bolts just way too far off the deep end. But Tooie is like the perfect amount of sarcasm, the perfect amount of cynicism, the perfect amount of character. It's wonderful. I love it.
It's something like you want to talk to every character because you're going to get the world building, you're going to get some sarcastic dialogue, you're rewarded for it. And
exactly.
That replaying Tooie when it went on NSO last year, like that is something I remembered about it, is just like it is probably like Rare's densest game when it comes to dialogue. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's really exciting to have a new 3D platformer again. And like the last one was Ukulele. I mean, as far as like our coverage goes, and yeah, it's just really exciting to have this new Donkey Kong game again, where you can talk to all these characters, and there's Cranky Kong, and he's gonna break the fourth wall or admonish you for not being as good as him, like this, like all-time stud Cranky Kong in his eyes.
You know what's something else I just realized? Like, I never even had this thought before. Something I'm excited for is seeing how Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong are written.
Yeah.
Because we never really get that. like ever. Like it feels like they've said a few things here and there, but is this going to be the first time in a long time or ever even where we get to talk to them like a lot and get writing from them and really feel their personalities come through?
Yeah, honestly, you're right, because of course Donkey Kong's doing the whole silent protagonist Nintendo thing in this one, and I mean that was the case in the retro games.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long since we've gotten like, and granted, like in the original games, they didn't really have much dialogue either, except Donkey Kong Country 3, you know.
That's the one I was thinking. Like, you get a little taste of it there, but even then, it's just like little bits. This might be the first time ever, because Diddy's usually playable.
Yeah.
And anytime Dixie's there, she's usually playable too, so you don't really talk to them. This might be the first time where we actually get to talk to Diddy and Dixie.
The instruction manuals had dialogue in the story, and then in the GBA
That's
remix,
true.
that was incorporated. But yeah, you're right. Like, we're going to see Diddy and Dixie written with dialogue, and like, what will their interplay be? What will they do and say? And that's going to be really interesting. You're right. I hadn't thought about that. Jeez.
And, you know, it's I'm not expecting the world with him. I think the difference is Cranky has a very established, very strong personality to begin with. So I'm not expecting them to, you know, have the most genius, well-written dialogue ever for Diddy and Dixie, but I am excited to see what they say and how they act.
I mean, it's probably just going to be, hey, Donkey Kong, do you want to race?
Right. but still, you know, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity we don't get very often.
That's right. I want them to explain how they dragged all that shit. I mean, I guess, judging from their little stand, they, like, were on Ingot Isle when the cave-in happened, and they just fell right through the Earth's crust, but...
That's kind of fun, too. Diddy and Dixie have a life outside of their adventuring shit, like... Maybe they had these races set up before any of this even happened. Maybe they were doing Ramby racing for a while now.
Yeah, maybe they moved to Ingot Isle. I mean, maybe they're married, right? Maybe, maybe they,
right.
I don't know, like, maybe they had to, like, help Kiddy Kong escape his abusive home, and they all, like, moved to... Ingot Isle, or if it's in the northern
They got an
hemisphere.
apartment together?
Yeah, you know, they bought Kiddy Kong those 40-some cats that he has now. And...
Oh, no, they're enabling it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how we get kitties next year.
That's true. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's get
Write it down, people listening.
We need an annual Donkey Kong game now. Doesn't matter what it is.
Just pump out whatever shit you want. Get kitties out there.
Yeah. Just Andre says maybe the underground is where they elope to, and they've secretly panicking that Donkey and Cranky have turned up. Yes, because their love is forbidden.
Yeah, it was never meant to be.
Because it turns out their parents are actually feuding. It's like Romeo and Juliet.
I like the idea that there's this big story happening that's never... It's like alluded to in passing. It's like, look, we got a lot of shit going on right now, but it's unrelated to your thing with this game. Go do your adventure. We'll do a race.
It's also super confusing that their families are feuding because they're both have the surname Kong. So it's like, oh yeah, the famous Kong v. Kong feud.
I don't know which one to team up with.
Wait, which one do I shoot? All right. Thank you for the calls.
Thank you.
11. Number 11.
Woo!
Woo!
Hey, Hyle. Hey, Dustin. This is Bay and the Bear from the forum and the Discord. Hope y'all are doing lovely today. So, about less than 2 weeks from Bonanza now. Yeah, so I'm calling in for the call sack episode. Like, I'm just so excited. Like, everything we've seen about the game looks incredible. Like, I have absolute faith. Like, this is gonna rock our socks off. I guess just, of course, as we've gone through this relatively short hype cycle, it seems like repeatedly the number one conversation topic has been King K. Rool. And as we just kind of come towards the end now, and it seems like it could really go either way, whether he's in the game or not. I just kind of wanted to quickly share my own thoughts on it, where I think just my stance on it now is I think K. Rool's in the game. I think there's enough smoke there that I think I could kind of confidently assume he's there. And of course I want him to be there more than anything. He's still on the tippy top of my wish list. I want him to be there more than anything. But God, this game has sold me so much to where it's just even if it will be bittersweet, even if I'm a little disappointed, I'm going to love Bonanza regardless. Especially with Voidco, Void Kong in particular, after that small snippet we've seen of him, if he's not a fake out villain, if he's really our main villain, I think I am completely on board with him. I guess it's just a matter of, okay, if K. Rool's not in the big game, we've talked about this, what's it mean? Maybe EPD doesn't really have any big plan for K. Rool in the near future. Maybe they don't necessarily see him as a priority. I hope that's not the case. Maybe they'll just introduce him in the next game. I'm not sure, but I think what really just keeps me confident or hopeful overall is just, again, we're getting a new Donkey Kong game, and probably the number one point of conversation all along has been, where's K. Rool? Is K. Rool going to be in the game? And as Donkey Kong is now being leveraged to be a big series again, I don't think that conversation is going to stop. I mean, maybe people will be burnt out if Bonanza just put him in, but I don't know, just even if it just amounts to us just continuing to celebrate and never forget King K. Rool, I like that. I like the atmosphere we're going on. It's not antagonistic towards the new stuff. It's just, hey, we love King K. Rool, we cherish him, and we very much hope he's in this game or one the next. So, I don't know. I don't really have a question or anything. I just wanted to share my thoughts and maybe see if you had any similar feelings about the whole situation. But yeah, y'all have a great day and cannot wait for Bonanza.
Well, thank you for the call, Ban. Yeah, Dustin, how do you feel? How are you feeling about obviously it is one of the primary points of discussion for everything Bonanza. In the DK Vine Inner Circle, we even have a completely separate channel removed from regular Bonanza discussion that's just all about the Kremlin conspiracy theories, K. Rool conspiracy theories, the suggestions and notions that he might factor into the game at some point. So, I mean, it looms large. No matter which way it goes, it has been a big, fervent part of Bonanza discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier how I felt on it. Now I kind of wish I had waited for this call. But yeah, that's exactly where I am. I'll be a little disappointed if he's not there, just because I want this to. I would like to see him appear here and kind of reestablish himself as the big guy.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it also kind of feels like doing Voidco a disservice in a way. So many people are oh, well, maybe Void Kong is actually K. Rool in disguise, maybe he's transformed, this game is all about transformations, maybe he's K. Rool in disguise, and then I'm on one hand, I would like that, because I want K. Rool to be there, but on the other, how do you think poor Void Kong feels?
Poor Void Kong. Oh my god.
Look at him.
No.
They always want me to be someone I'm not.
I think if K. Rool is the big bad, the final boss of the game, I don't think it necessarily does Voidco a disservice if they're working with him or for him, or there's some sort of, angle where they don't know that K. Rool's pulling the strings, or they're pulling K. Rool strings and K. Rool breaks free. I don't think it necessarily diminishes them as characters in the same way that Chaos immediately became irrelevant at the end of Donkey Kong Country 3. Where it's oh yeah, the Kremlins have a new leader and he's named Chaos. How intriguing, how exciting. And then you encounter him halfway through the game and it's just a big robot that's ugly, and you're like, oh, I don't care about this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't think the game will do Voidco a disservice. It's just a little... I don't want to say it rubs me the wrong way, but it is a weird feeling seeing so many people being like, I hope this cool new character is actually this other character. Fuck this new guy. I'm like, well, Voidco's still cool. I like his design. If K. Rool is not involved in any way, I would never hold it against the Voidco. They're awesome. And, I honestly feel like it might be doing them a disservice if, one of the theories out there is that he actually is K. Rool. And I don't know how much I like that. Like, I'd be fine with it if it got the end result I wanted. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. But, yeah, it's just interesting seeing people just slagging off Void Kong himself.
Yeah, like, on one hand, it would be K. Rool's ultimate persona, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, you put on a jacket and a pirate's hat, or you put on a lab coat, or you put boxing gloves on. In this case, he's just transforming himself into a little monkey. And,
and
like,
I don't think that's necessarily impossible either. Like, this game is all about, like, Odd Rock, Pauline was transformed into Odd Rock, or Donkey Kong can transform into his Bonanza forms. What if Void Kong or K. Rool transformed into Void Kong? Like, it would fit. It's nothing that's not in the game already.
Right. And it's certainly possible. And I think the reason people are so passionate about K. Rool is because of the long history behind this fandom and everything that has transpired. And Jungle Beat to a lesser extent, because nobody was in that except Donkey Kong and the banana. But, K. Rool hasn't been in the Donkey Kong series for a long time, for 15 years. Wasn't in Returns, and in fact, there was that interview with Tanabe, and, it was just like, why do we need crocodiles in the game? Which, rubbed people the wrong way, just like that mistranslated interview with the Jungle Beat team rubbed people the wrong way back in 2005. But
it's about that validation again.
It's about that validation, but it's also just about, like, what is it about Donkey Kong and its, like, large, robust cast that people are always so weird about? What is it that it feels like, well, we can't use those characters? Like, is it
well, why not?
Yeah, and I think then coming after the whole Smash Ballot campaign, which ultimately, not in Smash 4 like they thought they were doing, but in Smash Ultimate, came with the validation of getting King K. Rool as a playable fighter in Super Smash Brothers, which they don't just hand those out willy-nilly unless, it's just an easy Echo fighter or whatever. But it's not something that happens often. And
not just anybody gets in every day.
The fact that the third Donkey Kong branded character in Smash is King K. Rool, and that was all due to an international fan campaign. I think it was validating, it felt good, but part of that, the unspoken part of that, is we got K. Rool in Smash, but that was also to make sure we get K. Rool back into the Donkey Kong series.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is one thing, and it's so awesome that K. Rool's there. I don't want to downplay that at all. But Smash Brothers isn't a Donkey Kong game. There's a difference there.
So I get it. I completely understand that. I am not part of the contingent where Bonanza will be ruined for me if K. Rool's not in it at all.
No, definitely not.
Of course, I embraced Retros games. I found things to love about the Tiki Tac tribe, even if I don't really care about them. I really like the Snowmats, even if Lord Frederick is a big, wet, disgusting fart. And, I am adaptable, and I can embrace the new, even if you don't bring back some of the old. But I also am a fan of this, and I am a fan of K. Rool. I think he's a really fun villain. And
Yeah.
I said before, the fun thing about K. Rool is he's essentially King Koopa from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, where he, like, that version of Bowser was just made a crocodile and then put into a video game. And
Right.
I think that's great. I think because that was always my preferred take on Bowser when I was really into Mario, because I got into the cartoon as like the supplementary material to the games, and that kind of helped flesh things out in my brain. And then when they started giving Bowser more to do, and I realized, oh wait, he's not really King Koopa, is he? So, like, I am a big K. Rool fan, and I want to see him back too. And I do think that Bonanza isn't the end of the road by any means. If for whatever reason he's not there, there's no, like, sleight of hand going on. Like, all the clues that seem to suggest K. Rool is involved somehow are actually just seeing shapes in the clouds and there's nothing actually there. Like,
Or little Easter eggs.
Yeah, if all that actually, like, if every failsafe is broken through and K. Rool is not in there, I won't hate Bonanza, and I will still have hope that K. Rool will be in the next Donkey Kong game. But that being said, I get why people are as fervent, because this is, like, the best chance of, like, really cementing and solidifying King K. Rool as Donkey Kong's arch nemesis. And to Bane's point, which I think is a good one, even if the worst comes to pass for K. Rool and his fans, and K. Rool's nowhere to be found, I think continuing to celebrate him is important. I think...
Yeah.
I've said before, you know, all of this, whether it's Donkey Kong, whether it's the Donkey Kong universe, whether it's Rare fandom, however you want to break it down, it belongs to all of us. It's not just the corporations that own these IPs. Like, the spirit of it is within all of us, and the way we celebrate it, the way we keep it alive, is just as vital to the story being told as what the rights holders do with it. So I think that's something to keep in mind. There are very positive ways to continue to celebrate the character, even if he doesn't show up in Bonanza, and I would implore everyone to do that.
For sure. Something I'm kind of excited for is, excited for something that might not happen, but if K. Rool is in it, or K. Rool comes back at some point, how will he look?
Yeah.
Like, if DK and Diddy and Dixie got these tweaks and, like, a complete rethinking for Donkey Kong, how would a K. Rool look in 2025? That would be very exciting.
He might just look like Void Kong.
That's true. I guess that's it.
Yeah. It turns out that's just, like, there's no transformation angle at play. That's just K. Rool's new design, and also they renamed him.
It is K. Rool. We just changed him in every way.
Yeah.
But don't worry, he's in there.
Don't worry. It's just the fact that we don't care about lore, and neither should you.
And I'm here with my friend Swanky Kong, who is now one of the fractal guys, one of the rock guys you like so much.
Here's Chunky Kong. It's this big pizza that's being shared by Mario and the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, so delicious. Thank you, Ninja Turtles.
Wow. Oh my God. Who needs Charles Martinet when we have Dustin Jackson?
I know. You thought I was Mario. I get that a lot.
Wow, I just wanted to turn this podcast off because I was like, oh man, that guy.
Where did Dustin go?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the call. Let's play our 12th call, Dustin.
DK Bananza has made me feel really weird because Donkey Kong is like my favorite series ever, and Bananza is being developed by maybe my favorite development group at Nintendo. I mean, my favorite development group at Nintendo is Monolith Soft because Xenoblade is the coolest thing ever. It's the other Nintendo series with a bunch of crazy buyouts, and it's awesome and excellent, actually. But I love the Odyssey team so much. I grew up with all those games, Mario Galaxy, Mario Odyssey, and Donkey Kong's my favorite, and they're making the new DK game, and looks like it's playing exactly like how I want it to. It looks so unbelievably good, but I kind of feel like I don't have a lot to say about it. And I'm wondering if anyone else is sort of in that similar position to me, where it's a game that is checking off every box to me in such a severe way that it's like, I feel like I have almost nothing to add to it. Like, I don't have a lot to add beyond just, I want to play that shit. And maybe because I'm not as invested in the whole K. Rool drama. Like, I adore K. Rool a ton, but even before this game was announced, I had made peace with the fact that the next Donkey Kong game, whatever it is, might not have K. Rool. And so whether or not he's here is not the end of the world to me. I'd love him. I want him. He's cool, but like if he's not here, I've already made peace with that. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird feeling of like, this looks like it'll be one of my favorite games ever. I want to play that, and then the thoughts kind of end there. Now, originally I wasn't going to call in, but I made a post on the Inner Circle, which is awesome and excellent, and you can join if you pay Hyle money. And after I made that thought, Hyle Russell put a coconut gun to the back of my head and said I had to call in. He said if I did not, he would fire me in 2 spurts, and that it's the coolest thing ever, and that DK Vine is awesome. And so I decided to go call in, and thank you. Goodbye.
Well, thank you for the call, Porygon Q.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I can relate to a game ticking off all your boxes to the point where you don't have much to say, because I often run into that problem with Donkey Kong Country 2, because that game is my favorite game of all time. I consider it almost flawless. I consider it just like everything I want in a video game was done in 1995. And like every decision it made, I'm like, perfect. You did it. That's exactly tailor-made for me. And because of that, I talk about it probably less than I talk about any other Donkey Kong Country game. And
you just don't have it. It's not like you're like, well, I wish they could have done this. This is cool, but this is a little weird. DKC2, it's just like, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool too.
For example, I'm a huge fan of Donkey Kong Country 3. You know, I don't have to justify that. I shouldn't have to put any qualifiers in there. I think Donkey Kong Country 3 is an amazing game. I think it is honestly, like, I love it more than Donkey Kong Country, the original. I adore it, but there's just a couple like little flaws in there, or a couple things that maybe hold it back from achieving the same precision level of greatness as Country 2, and that makes it more interesting to me. I don't know what it is. It's like just having something that almost is perfection, but has some very human frailties, foibles in it.
Yeah.
That makes
it gives you some flaws to discuss.
And it makes it more interesting to me. It's almost like I appreciate the beauty in Donkey Kong Country 3 all the more because there's some contrast in there. Whereas with Country 2, I'm blinded by perfection.
You're blinded by the light.
Yeah, the Kremlin source out of the crocodile core.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know if there's really that many games like that for me, because like Banjo-Tooie is my favorite game, but that it is a game with flaws. You know, I'm not going to call that a flawless game. You know what's a game that might be like that for me is Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah? Diddy
Kong Racing is so good. I have no issues with that. I can't even think of a flaw. I can't think of something where like, well, I wish they did this. I wish this were better. I played Diddy Kong Racing, and I'm like, this is just perfect. But because of that, like, what am I going to bring to the conversation? It's like, yeah, I like the tiger. I like the tiger in the hat.
Yeah, Diddy Kong Racing comes close to me. I think I always have an angle of Diddy Kong Racing because of the fact that any sequel attempt has been cursed for all time.
That's true.
And that makes me bitter and spiteful. So I can fuel myself off of that.
Right. with DKC too, it's like you can only go so far talking about all the awesome things it does, and
Sure.
and you should. It's great, but it's like what you're gonna tell someone it's great, and then they'll probably agree. Probably.
Maybe Bonanza will be that. I'm sure I'll have some sort of problem with it. And here's hoping, because I want to keep discussing it for years on end. But,
I mean, I feel like there's already some. I don't like the rock guys that much.
I don't have an issue with the fractones. Why is it? You don't even give them their proper names. You're like the rock guys.
Are they called fractones?
They're called fractones.
I just didn't want to get it wrong. No sign of disrespect.
Look,
But,
check
you
out the guy over here who doesn't check Nintendo Today every single day.
You know what, Hyle? I'm going to give you a big fat fuck you because I looked at it during the podcast.
And yet
I checked it just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I still forgot them.
Yeah, okay. Well, the fractones...
No, they might just need to grow on me. I'm maybe I'll grow to like them playing through it. Just right now I'm not sold on them, but maybe I will be.
Here's what I like about the fractones, all right?
Okay.
So I'm going to read you today's Nintendo Today biography, mini bio. This is only 2 sentences, but it's still something. I'm going to read this to you, and this will maybe help communicate what I find not intriguing, but at the very least, there's something there. All right. Fractones. Chipper rock creatures that have lived in the underground world since ancient times. They'll regrow any part of their body, no matter how much they're fractured or smashed. And I just like that we have 2 sentences worth of development for them, which is more.
But it also gives them some lore.
Yeah, it's lore, which I've been led to believe Nintendo doesn't
ancient.
care about. But yeah, they've lived there since ancient times, which is just more to go off of than we ever had for, say, the banana sprites. You know, the bananas with wings that fly around. Like, what are they? Why are they there? Never explained.
That's true.
So you know what? I'm excited. I think the fractones, people view them as, well, that could have been another character. That could have been an individual character in each environment. I basically view them as the equivalent of the hats from Odyssey. The what are they called? The Bonites? Benito Mussolini's?
Something like that.
Yeah. The little ghost that are hats that Cappy is a part of.
Just little guys here to serve a purpose.
Yeah, and
like I said, maybe playing it, they'll endear themselves to me more. Because right now I am kind of in that camp of, you could have been funky. You could have been funky, you rock. But, I think something to Porygon Q's point, that's who called, right? I feel like we got away from the call a little bit.
Yeah.
But, they said they're not that concerned about whether or not K. Rool is there. And that's totally fine. I want K. Rool to be there, but I also don't want to judge this game for what my pre-established notions of it are. Like, not what I wanted it to be. I want to judge it for what it is.
I will say this. All of my ideas about what Donkey Kong EPD could be, I didn't know they were going to go this deep and this hard. Because, I thought, maybe we would get a couple returning Kongs, maybe K. Rool, Rambi, maybe some animal buddies. But the wealth of references, the wealth of love given to the entirety of the Donkey Kong series, it's kind of gone above and beyond what I thought was even possible with this new regime. So,
right.
I do want K. Rool. I will admit I will be a little bit upset, maybe more upset on the behalf of all the K. Rool diehards than I would be just personally speaking.
Right.
But,
I'll be a little upset, but I'll get over it.
Yeah. But I honestly have faith and I have hope for the future for this series, where I no longer feel like anything's in danger anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not unpleasable. We got that reference to the Northern Hemisphere. I never would have expected that. That makes me clap my hands in cheer.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen a seal fossil yet, so why are you doing it?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Hyle, earlier, when you said deep and hard, that was that supposed to be like a sex? Was that like a sex happening?
Heavens no. My goodness.
Okay.
My goodness, Darwood. This is a family podcast where we talk
Okay,
about
yeah.
wholesome things like Bible study. I was making a reference to Donkey Kong going deep and hard into the Earth's crust to reach the planet core.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to, get it. Just wanted to pretend like I understood.
No, Donkey Kong's going to the planet core, where we all know that's where Void Kong is pissing on K. Rool.
Right, yeah. See, that I will be really upset if that's not in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We all will. I mean, I think we've really raised the bar for expectations now to the point where Nintendo better be patching the game. Day one download. It's like, wow, oh my God, it's a 7-hour download. What the hell is this update?
Yeah, we really fucked them over. We really fucked this game release up.
It's a 2.5-hour cinematic scene at the very end.
You know what would make it even better, Hyle?
What's that?
The reason that Void Kong is pissing on K. Rool is because I almost called him Lanky. Lanky Kong is tickling him with his big long arms.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's how it keeps going. It's like you just pan out and it just is like this big chain of characters engaging with the other. Like
they get every Donkey Kong character that's ever existed in the piss chain.
They realize, we've got to please the fans, and these Donkey Kong fans, they love their characters. How do we all get them in there?
They have like a checklist. How about, Trough and Scoff, are they in there? Okay,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Mad Jack?
Stanley the Bugman. They have to make some like quick calls to Rare. Hey, can we get Pipsy, Bumper? Can we get, the two kids that are with Tricky at the end of Diddy Kong Racing? Can we get them in there?
And they say, yeah, sure. Put everyone in there. Put those Triceratops in twice for all we care.
Yeah. You know what? Just put the whole Banjo-Kazooie cast in there.
We could probably get Joanna Dark if you want. I know she's not related to Donkey Kong, but that
could also be Microsoft's big apology for canceling the new Perfect Dark.
You know what? I think that would be a worthy trade-off.
Are we doing
She
it?
gets to be part of the tickle chain?
Are we being like really smart video game executives right now?
Yes. Yeah, I think so,
right.
yeah. It turns out it's easy. It turns out it's easier than it looks, given
because
the
here's
other
the
day.
thing. We not only make the shareholders happy, we make the fans happy.
Yeah, it turns out, actually pretty freaking easy to please everybody.
Man, capitalism is pretty easy when you just realize that what people want are big piss chains.
That's true. I think we cracked the code.
I think we did. But we do have 2 more calls to crack. So
let's do that.
Let's play our 13th caller, lucky number 13, and hopefully it'll bring us back around to discussing what characters could be in this this Planet Core piss chain.
Oh my God, we are 2 weeks away from Bonanza. What's up, Hyle and Dustin? It's me, Skips. Yeah, it's been, despite it being like a really short hype cycle, it's been very fun to like talking with the community and you guys. It's been really fun. And I really appreciate you guys like listening to my insane theories and stuff that's been going around the game ever since like it was announced back in April. But it's been really fun, and I'm really excited regardless of, like, what happens. Like, I'm really excited for this new era of Donkey Kong. So, yeah, not much to say. It's just, like, hope you guys have a good one yeah.
Well, thank you for the call, Skips. Because of Skips, so many people are reading Journey to the West that wouldn't have otherwise picked it up. So, yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
A nice, breezy 40-second call. That's how I like them.
Easy, breezy, and beautiful.
Yeah. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Cover girl.
Covered up is the name Matt gave the Kremlings and Sheets in Donkey Kong 64.
That's the most bullshit thing I've ever heard in my life. I love it.
Covered up with a K, yeah.
That's the best one.
It still makes me laugh when I think about it. I will say, I think I need this game right now because everything is shitty. Everything about video games is shitty outside of this game. And I think I need it. But at the same time, it is a very short hype cycle. And yeah, I could have gone another couple months speculating and, like pouring over screenshots and little footage drops. And I mean, that's fun. That part is always fun to me. And I feel like we were deprived a little bit of it because it was announced April 2nd. It's coming out July 17th. But at the same time, it's really cool that Donkey Kong is sort of leading the way with the Switch 2. And
yeah, for sure. He gets to be the big headliner after Mario Kart. And Mario Kart is huge.
Yeah.
But like when I think of the like big main game on a system, I think of like the big new adventure game, like like Breath of the Wild or Mario 64, like those are the big standout titles, and this is set to be that too. Mario Kart's great, but that's always kind of a smaller deal for me.
For you, I mean, when we look at the sales figures, I think Mario Kart is a juggernaut that we can't comprehend at this point.
Oh, for sure. And I adore Mario Kart. Like, I'm not saying it's a small deal for me at all. But, to me, it feels like the accompanying game. Even if it's the one out first, it feels like the one to come out alongside the big new game.
Yeah. And also Donkey Kong's in Mario Kart World, so it kind of just feels like it's building up to Bonanza anyway. So
how crazy is that? The two big first party I almost said PS2. I meant Switch 2 games. Both have Donkey Kong in them.
Oh no, Donkey Kong was on the PS2? I never got one.
Oh shit, Hyle, wouldn't that be crazy if it you're dedicated to the DKU? You talk about Donkey Kong in every game, then it turns out Donkey Kong just had like a series of he had like Donkey Kong Country 4, 5, and 6 on the PS2.
That's the kind of nightmare I would have where I just missed all this stuff, and I'm like,
and it turns out we've all been talking about it and appreciating them. We're
just
like,
behind my back.
We don't know why you didn't put them on the site or talk about them ever.
You think it's weird? Yeah. How come he never brings up Donkey Kong Country 6?
We just thought you knew something we didn't.
All those articles you wrote about a rare game coming to the PlayStation 5, and you were like, why is he forgetting the 3 big Donkey Kong games on the PS2? Idiot.
Those were huge deals. They really advertised the crap out of them.
Yeah. Skips, I hope K. Rool's in Bonanza. I do.
Me too.
Yeah. That's all. That's all I got to say about that. All right. One more call, Dustin. One more call.
Let's listen to this one last call.
The last call of the last call sack before Donkey Kong Bananza. I hope it's worth our time. I hope we're ending on a bang.
Hey Hyle, it's me again, your friend, Professor Chops. That call was actually from months ago. I wanted to submit it for the Returns HD discussion, but for some reason, a guy named Jeff the Brash locked me in a safe and tried to bury me at sea. Couldn't imagine why, because I know all of you love my good smile. Anyway, I'm happy that you were finally rewarded with a new DK game announcement. I could have arranged to get you a hug from an ape, but I knew you'd rather get a call from me, Professor Chops. And even though you don't see me in Bonanza, just remember, I'm always gonna be a part of you. Always. Anyway, take care.
Cool.
Yeah. Why is the Diddy Kong Racing theme playing behind?
Our favorite Diddy Kong Racing character, Professor Chops.
I mean, if they bring back Diddy Kong Racing, and you know what, I'm gonna put that back on the table. You know, I'm like, the whole Kevin Callahan nonsense from over a decade ago. Like, I left the new Diddy Kong Racing game idea somewhere underneath the table here. I've been letting it collect dust after that whole era was over. But I think it's time. Here it is. Here it is. Let me. Oh God! All my old skin flakes are going back in my mouth. So
that smells like doo-doo feces.
Doo-doo feces, right? So I'm gonna put it back on the table. There we go. And that means, who knows? We'll get a new Diddy Kong Racing game at some point, because Nintendo does own the IP, Diddy Kong Racing. They own Diddy Kong. They own Crunch. They kind of own Tricky sometimes. So it could happen. And I would say Professor Chops absolutely does need to be in Diddy Kong Racing Refueled, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I'll say that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mean it, but I'll say it.
Well, at this point, I'm just raising expectations. So everybody can be horribly disappointed when it doesn't come to pass, which is a tried and true tradition for the Donkey Kong fandom.
Yeah, I was going to say that's nothing we're not used to already.
In the live stream, Skips and just Andre remembering the blast from the past that was Diddy Kong Racing 2 discourse. Back in 2013. Yeah, when all we had to talk about was, hey, there's this bullshit online rumor that Nintendo's working on a new Diddy Kong race. How far we've come, Dustin. From the point where we were just chasing these blind rumors that had no bearing on reality to the point where we were breaking the news that Nintendo EPD was doing Donkey Kong. How far have we come?
Kind of far, yeah.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah. Anyway, we are on the precipice here. Donkey Kong Bananza coming out when this episode goes live in a week and a half. Dustin,
it's so close I can smell it.
Yeah, are you going to download the game at midnight, or are you going to get it the next morning as a physical copy?
So for Mario Kart, I did the download. I just got the bundle just because Mario Kart seemed like, that's one that people will break out to play every now and then. So it wasn't that important to me to get that physical, but Donkey Kong Bananza, of course I'm going to get the physical copy of it. And I say that as someone who has been moving closer and closer to going digital lately. Yeah. I'm not going to do that for Donkey Kong. That's something I got to own on the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, I paid for it. I'm gonna pick it up. So, I was like, where do I reserve it at? Because I don't want to go through the whole thing where, oh no, FedEx lost the package.
Right.
I've got to have it the morning of. I'm not gonna download it at midnight, whatever. But I have to have the physical copy the morning it comes out officially. So, I decided to pay for it in advance at Best Buy, and I'm going to then pick it up at that Best Buy. That way I'm guaranteed it. I don't have to deal with, when is it going to show up on my front stoop? Oh no, it's in 4 states over. It's in the ocean. Oh no, it's been completely incinerated because the plane crashed. I'm not going to do that.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right? Jeez. What a tragedy that would be, me not playing Donkey Kong Bananza the day it comes out. So, yeah, I'm getting it at 10 a.m. because apparently all of my local GameStops don't open till noon because they've reduced their hours and cut their workforce to the point. I mean, granted, GameStop, I don't want to really go into a GameStop, but I would do it for Donkey Kong.
Our GameStop's actually not too bad. We did GameStop for the Switch 2. And that went very smoothly. At least for our local GameStops, I think the Idaho crew doesn't really have any issues with them.
Yeah, so doing that, so, I'm probably going to have to go dark and not like look online until I get the game in my hand and I can start, playing it and processing it. And I'm just going to be like, enjoy Bonanza, everyone. You won't hear from me again for a day or two. And that way I don't get exposed to spoilers and all those freaks who try to beat a game within the first 6 hours or less.
I hate that. I don't want to say like I have a problem with the way people engage in their games these days. People can enjoy things how they want. Like we said earlier, we don't want to gatekeep.
Right.
But I can never get on the same page as some of these people who like need to speed run through a game like right away. On one hand, I get it because you don't want to be spoiled on anything. But, I want to savor my time with a game.
Yeah.
But, something else I was thinking about is I forget who it was, which call brought it up. They were talking about the bloat of a game and how they don't want this game to be too big, like Mario Odyssey. And I've kind of felt weird about people playing games in that way too, where they feel like they have to get everything. And if a game is too big to get everything in a small amount of time, that is a negative for the game. I saw a lot of that for Crash Bandicoot 4 when it came out, where it sounded like a lot of people saying like, oh, this game's good, but it was a nightmare actually 100%ing it. That makes me like this game less. It's like, well, don't do it then. You don't have to.
Yeah,
no one's holding a gun to your head to 100% get everything in this game right away.
For me, I enjoy the process of savoring a game and
same.
Really just soaking in every detail. I love luxuriating in a game world, and everybody's different. Everybody's wired differently. We all play games for different reasons.
Yeah.
And
there's no wrong way except for beating someone with it, like as we established.
It's like all the people saying, why do you care about lore? And it's like, well, that's how I enjoy a game. But at the same time, I'm not going to begrudge anyone if you are just in it for the mechanical satisfaction of beating a game. I don't understand that, but
I can just say I'm not on the same page. But enjoy it how you want, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is important, is we all have to be given the grace to enjoy this game at our own speed, how we want. So again,
don't act like you're enjoying it the only right way.
Right. And keep that in mind too when discussing the game online. Know who you're talking with. Make sure you don't put out any spoiler. Even if you're excited, even if you get to the planet core and there are 439 DKU characters in there, all in this big piss tickle chain. And you're like, oh my god, Rodney the Hare is there tickling Xananab, who's using his little banana peel, little feetsies and handsies, using them to give Bashmaster Bear from Tropical Freeze a good one-over. And Bashmaster is then...
He's tickling a fudge hog.
A fudge hog from off of Viva Pinata, right?
And he's making the face.
He's making the face. He's making the tongue is sticking out. He's really enjoying it. He's going, He's making a little fudge of his own. Even if you're excited about that, respect those who are not there in their journey, because we wouldn't want that to be spoiled for them, would we?
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.